America on the boat.
All y'all.
Okay, that's how it would go.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Smith Radio with your host, Brian Smith, and
Gary Smith,
giving you all the latest breaking news of the week that's passed, get you set up, give you all the details of everything you need to know for the week to come, breaking the news over the weekend, because you know what the administration loves to do on a Friday.
Is it Friday afternoon that they do that? Like
Usually Friday.
4:30?
Yeah, Friday midday. I'd say midday. Somewhere around 4:30 when all the news reporters are
Clocking out.
They're
all in line at the clock, trying to clock out and everything. And
right to step onto the wagon that wheels them down the street to the liquor, to the liquor barn.
Oh, happy hour on Friday. I was going to say, then they got to get on a subway at some point, usually.
Well, apparently they're just brown bagging it. See, they brown bag it to work
On Friday.
And then when they get to the liquor store, they put them in brown bags again. They brown bag it on the subway.
I see what you're saying. I wasn't following you there at first. Now I'm getting. Well, that explains a lot. Explains a lot. So, what's the date? Do we have to tell people that?
Yeah, July 26th, 2015, Sunday evening at 5 o'clock. And
Eastern time.
Eastern time.
Right.
We're going to start off the show with a little breaking news. I mean, obviously, unless you live under a rock, I mean, you've probably heard of this, you probably understand this, but I just want to talk about it a little bit in detail, give you our take on it, where it's coming from, how it's going down, and why the media is doing what they do.
And I prefer that we, if you've been watching this show, sometimes we get away from this, but we like to try to gear it towards a low information, younger crowd that is just totally clueless on this stuff. So the explanation for some of these, news items could be a little dumbed down. And we don't mean to insult your intelligence out there for those of you who are high information voters.
Correct. No, that is not our goal whatsoever. However, if this does seem a little dumbed down, use it as reinforcing what you already know.
Yeah, that, and also you can't get too upset when low information voters have the wrong idea and it opposes your ideas because they just don't know. And so you have to walk them through step by step. You have to hold them by the hand and guide them through and be supportive and don't destroy their dreams of intellectual righteousness.
Wow.
It's because if you bash them over the head with knowledge that they just have not ever heard of before, there's going to be a knee-jerk reaction of you being crazy, right? It's called throwing up on somebody. It's an industry phrase.
And you don't want to do that. Last thing you want to do is start throwing up on people.
Right. Throwing up on people, referring to you telling somebody how it is, and you know how it is politically. Well, we talk about communism and its role in like the education system, and sometimes if you throw up that kind of stuff on some unsuspecting low information voter, they're going to think you're wearing your tinfoil hat.
And maybe you need to be, but no, you should. No, so we've got a theater shooting.
Of what?
A theater.
Oh, a theater.
Yeah, sorry. It's a commonplace in America where theaters are assaulted on a regular basis. Now, on a serious note, folks, there was in Louisiana, Lafayette, Louisiana, apparently there was a gunman, 58-year-old white man, that entered into a theater, pulled out a handgun and just started shooting right at people while they were watching a new movie out called Trainwreck.
And the story I heard was it's not there was no significance of the movie, I don't think.
No,
It's not
other
like
than
he
the fact
picked
the
that.
movie was a train wreck.
Well, the movie was a train wreck, and then he was trying to make it a train wreck, but I don't think he picked the movie Trainwreck. In fact, his choice of movie was probably something to the effect of which one's going to be the most crowded.
Could have been. So as he was firing and into the crowd of about 100 people at the Grand 16 Theater during the screening of Amy Schumer's Trainwreck, the gunfire killed Jillian Johnson, a 33-year-old well-known local businesswoman, and M-A-Y-C-I. How would you say that?
A-Y-C-I. Mikey?
Mikey?
Mikey!
Dude, don't. No.
Mikey, what's up?
Dude, I am done with these people jacking with
I just guessed that.
letters. It looks like Mikey when I look at it right now. It looks like Mikey.
M-A-Y-C-I.
C-I. Makey. Makey, Mike,
Macy? Is it a girl? Macy?
Could be Macy.
It's probably Macy the
That's
girl.
a jacked up Macy. Okay, so Macy Boudreau, 21, an employee at a fashionable woman's boutique.
Oh, it's probably not Mikey.
Whoa.
It's probably not.
Whoa.
Whoa. Did I just prejudge there? I just prejudged.
Hey, it's legal nowadays.
Oh, no.
So you need to get on the right bus. Get on the right
Wow.
bus.
I just got taken to the woodshed, ladies and gentlemen.
9 other people were injured in the shooting, including the girl who died at the woman's fashionable boutique. Her boyfriend was with her, and he was hit.
Is he one of the ones that are
He didn't
still
die, though.
alive?
He's
but,
alive.
like in critical condition? Because
Yeah.
there were several people that were injured seriously that did not die, and so there was a lot of casualties, like you would typically imagine when you start firing indiscriminately in a crowded theater. So
Right. Well, the gunman apparently turned it on himself, killed himself.
yeah, he was trying to. I think his original intent was to do it and get away with it. Because they found at his, I don't know if it was a hotel room or his residence or wherever he was staying, they found disguises, like wigs and a separate set change of clothes.
Oh, wow.
And I think what they thought he was going to try to do was go in, kill a bunch of people, and in the melee of everybody trying to run out, switch his hair color and his clothes real quick.
Jeez.
And then that way he could do the quick change maneuver.
Oh, another good movie for your viewing pleasure and educational purposes. Quick
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah, so in the movie Quick Change, I'm going to go ahead. This isn't a plot spoiler because this is like the first scene of the movie. They go in. It's a 3-man crew: Randy Quaid, Bill Murray, and Gina Davis.
Yes.
So Randy Quaid and Gina Davis go in as 2 strangers, they don't know each other, into the bank as customers. Bill Murray comes in dressed completely head to toe as a clown with the makeup on the face and everything. And he comes in to rob the bank, and he holds everybody hostage. He puts everybody into the vault. And in the negotiations, they ask for him to release a couple of hostages. And somehow it comes about that he agrees to release 3 of them. So he releases Gina Davis, Randy Quaid, and he cleans up. He changes his clothes and cleans all of his makeup off of himself.
Wasn't there a little bit of white behind his ear, though?
Yeah, he almost got away with, or he almost did not get away with it, but he did. But he comes running out crying.
It was so bad. It was,
Yeah.
if you could
Overacting.
imagine,
He was overacting.
yeah, if you could imagine Bill Murray overreacting or overacting,
And it was a good job because, yeah, he was overdoing
and he
it.
was screaming, "They're murderers! They're killers in there!"
Right. And Gina Davis and Randy Quaid were also, since they were accomplices, they weren't going to rat him out,
Right.
and so they all were out with the cops and then snuck off. And then it took the cops a long time to realize that,
They were gone.
yeah.
And when it came time, they were gone.
Yeah.
So back to the story, though. Apparently, he was going to do a quick change.
Yeah,
maybe.
he was gonna try to do what Bill Murray attempted to do, which was go in looking one way, pull off the crime, and then try to escape as one of the potential victims, looking like somebody else. I'm not really sure how he would have made the change without somebody noticing, hey, look, he's putting a wig on, or hey, look, he's taking a wig off, or... I would think if you were going to take a wig off, that would be pretty effective because you could do that so quick.
You just rip it off and dump it.
And just kind of dump it, yeah. And then as everybody's looking around at each other, he would, how would you know he was, the guy?
Right.
As opposed to the guy in Colorado who shot up the theater, who just this week got sentenced to, is he going to be sentenced?
They approved
the death sentence.
The death penalty. So he could receive the death penalty, which I don't know what it's like in Colorado, but in California, you die of old age before you actually get put to death.
And that's just such a shame. I mean, if you've been convicted of the crime and then sentenced to death, which, by the way, takes unanimous... The story I heard was, if one single solitary juror does not agree with death, then he would get life in prison. So it has to be completely unanimous.
Well, then that's what makes sense. And when I was reading the story, it said unanimous decision. That's why it went down that way.
Well, no, the judge approved that he could get the death penalty.
Oh, but they said all the jurors agreed that the death penalty should be on the table.
Oh, I didn't know that was how it worked. I thought it was when they're deliberating, if they decide to go with death, they all have to agree with it.
Okay.
But it's still on the table.
Yeah, I believe that.
It's still on the table. So, right. But no, I'm saying if you're convicted of a crime that could warrant the death penalty, and then the whole jury, say it's 12 people, all unanimously, not a single one says, you know what, I just don't feel right about this. And they all give death. At some point, you got to be like, well, all right. I mean, maybe a couple of appeals processes.
Well, hopefully the president doesn't pardon you.
Which in this
happened
case,
a couple of weeks ago.
But this guy's a white man. So
that's right, because they were black people that he pardoned that were...
That would be an interesting question. How many white people and how many black people has he pardoned? And what's the other one where you don't pardon them, you commute
their sentence, right?
Yeah, he could do either or. I would be very curious.
So he pardons all the black folks and then just commutes some of the white folks.
I would love to hear that if there were any white folks commuted or pardoned, what their background is. They've got to be red diaper babies at minimum.
Absolutely.
If not full-blown communists, they would have to be very, very anti-American somehow.
Speaking of that, so did you hear that the news media was trying to associate this killer, 58-year-old white, Caucasian,
male,
mm-hmm. American, Midwest,
Republican? Is that where we're going with this?
They were trying to say that he was part of the Tea Party.
Of course. They do it every time.
Okay,
every time without fail.
Here's how close they got. He was associated with one of the presidents of the chapter of the Tea Party.
Uh-oh. You know they're going to run full sprint with that one.
So she came out ASAP, did an interview, and I read the transcript. It was pretty amazing. And I'm just going to give you the synopsis of the whole thing. But basically she said, oh, yeah, he contacted me. The first email that I got from him, I quickly recognized this guy was a lunatic. Because he told her his opening email apparently was something to the notion that I know how to win every single argument ever put out there every single time.
Well, wait a minute.
I can teach you to do this.
No, I can do that. That's me.
No.
Oh, are we going to go down that rabbit hole?
His rantings were just, it was a lunacy. You can win every argument that's winnable. He will win every argument against everybody at all times.
Well,
so if you're right, he says he can argue and win it that you're wrong.
Oh, so he's like a defense lawyer,
Right?
A defense
right,
attorney.
right. He was raised by Johnny Cochran.
Right. So, yeah, and that's important when it comes to acquitting those that are clearly guilty. That would be a very, very important skill to have.
Right. So when you have the gloves in your back pocket and you pull them out to give them up as evidence,
And they make sure they don't fit.
make sure they don't fit.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, so they were going back and forth with emails, and she just made the comment. She said, I clearly, he wanted to somehow be a part of the organization to steer it into some kind of crazy direction, but clearly he needed or was wearing tinfoil hats most of the time. So he was clearly just a loose cannon, just a really crazy guy. But isn't it funny, though, when it's a white dude, instantly let's jump on the wagon that he might be a Tea Party member. However, we're going to get more into this into the show that Islamic dude that shot up the Marines.
Yeah, that would have to be a lone wolf, not associated with any kind of Islamic.
Right.
Yeah, interesting little point that I never.
Did you notice too? They and I just caught this just because I'm plugged in with some of these folks online. One that you should definitely follow at all times, Pamela Geller. She's really, really, her main focus is exposing Islam for what it is, the terror that it creates, and this jihadist here in America that killed the Marines. Now all of a sudden, all his tracks, if you will, on the internet are suddenly disappearing.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Now that's some tinfoil hat stuff right there.
Just stuff.
Stuff.
Just stuff.
That's some tinfoil hat stuff there. Yeah, because gosh, I would have thought that I was a crazy conspiracy theorist 10 years ago. But what happens is you go down these rabbit holes. And you got to think of motive, and everybody's like, "Follow the money, man! Follow the money." Whatever. It takes common sense, and people. It's like Anthony Robbins says that people are always trying to move out of pain and do things either for pleasure or to move out of pain. Mostly to move out of pain.
Right.
And so when somebody does something, you can really break down what their motive is just by thinking in really simple terms that way. So it's like, okay, if somebody is doing something like, pardoning nothing but black people or something like, you got to think, where's this coming from? What's the motive here? People don't just do things, and all these coincidences are only coincidental, just statistical anomalies. I mean, at some point, you got to say, all right, who's pushing what agenda here? And then once you start to see the organizations and the ideologies and how and what it is that these different entities do for people, what does it do for you to decide I'm going to go all communism? I'm going to push the communist agenda. I'm going to speak in the communist terms. And I'm going to align with those who are also doing the communism thing. At the end of the day, you start to come to the reality, the conclusion that, okay, this is a thing. This isn't a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. This is a thing.
And I think a lot of those people do move to that for the same reason that people move into gangs.
Okay, yeah. I mean, to say that communism and everything that communists do and all the corruption, the payoffs, the who's in my back pocket, the networking. To say that that's not real and you have to have a tinfoil hat to believe that that's true will be like saying that gangs and the crime that they commit and the alliances that they make amongst each other in their communities and stuff like that in bad neighborhoods where gang violence is going on, where there's police reports indicating that gang violence is happening or that or crimes, gang crimes are happening. To to ignore what's going on with communism would be like saying, oh, that people aren't conspiring to commit crimes in these poor neighborhoods. There's no gangs. That's all conspiracy theory stuff. You're just wearing a tinfoil hat.
Wow.
I mean, seriously,
Yeah,
it's
true.
at the end of the day, you have to realize that you can put 1 and 1 together, and it really can equal 2. It's allowed to. It doesn't have to be, well, it's just a coincidence, So anyway,
Hey, so do you know why that shooter shot and killed those people in that movie theater in
I don't know.
Lafayette?
I really don't know.
I mean, I'm sorry, maybe not know why. Nobody really knows why, but I guess the question is, why that theater? Why there?
Did he live close by?
No.
I mean, was it a convenience thing? Like, hey,
yeah.
let's just go to the local theater.
When I saw the article come across the wire, and instantly, I saw it in the middle of the night, and so
See all the research, all the hard work that Brian does.
my first Google search was the Lafayette movie theater a gun-free zone?
Well, I would assume here's the thing, and this is where I'm gonna push back against Brian. Is there such thing as a movie theater where kids go to watch movies that is not a gun-free zone? Is there one that's like, well, we don't have signs up that say it's a gun-free zone, therefore, if you have a conceal and carry and you bring your weapon, we're okay with that.
Right. There are theaters like that. However, this theater clearly has a huge sign in the front that
really?
says they posted the picture of the sign. They went to the theater, took a picture of the front door and the sign, posted on the internet, and it clearly states no firearms, absolutely none, and you need to get permission. You need to, for more information. Just went on and on. Violation of code section 36.964. Be arrested on. I mean, just
really?
on. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
here's
really
the
bad.
thing I don't understand. Please explain this to me. I don't get this.
The shooter couldn't read.
Oh no. No, seriously, let's go into a little bit of policy here. All right, we all know that Congress shall make no law prohibiting the right to bear arms, right?
Correct.
We also know that states and maybe even local governments are not allowed to make laws that are also unconstitutional at the federal level, right?
Right.
At least that's my understanding. Therefore, and we also know that if you own your own business, especially if you're Brian and you go by his philosophy, you should be allowed to make whatever rules you want to for your own business.
Right, to make money. And if somebody says bake the cake, you better bake the cake.
Or else you're going to get beat by the SWAT team, pretty much. No, okay, so you're allowed to make your own rules because it's your own private business. You're not a government entity. You can make whatever rules you want at your own establishment. If a movie theater, which is privately owned, decides to have a policy that we are not going to allow guns in here, their only recourse if they see somebody with a gun, let's say it's holstered, side holster, whatever,
Right.
is to go up to them and say, excuse me, sir, I'm the owner of this establishment, I'm the manager, whatever. We have a policy here. You are not allowed to bring a weapon in here. So we're just going to have to ask you to leave or else put it out in your car or something, and then you can come back in as long as you're not armed. This is where it goes wrong in my head. There should not be a law that says, hey, this establishment has declared itself a gun-free zone. Therefore, if you have a gun, you can be arrested?
I don't think you can be a...
I've seen that though. I've seen the signs that say that you get fined, you can be arrested, and all that, and that doesn't jive with me. That alone,
Yeah, that's a problem.
that would be against the Constitution, and I would hope that a good lawyer in a court that's not a kangaroo court
Right.
would be able to. You'd be able to go into that court and say not guilty, And they'll look at this and say, well, yeah, it pretty much violates the Constitution, and have the whole thing thrown out.
Right. Well, unless you know, the management or ownership of the establishment asked you to leave and you didn't leave.
Right. You could get arrested for trespassing.
Yeah, you could get in trouble for that.
Anytime you're on somebody else's property, whether it's a public business or not,
Right.
And by public, I mean it's privately owned, but the private owner is allowing the public there, not publicly owned, as in the government owns it. I got to explain. I know there's a lot of people out there like, okay, now you're insulting my intelligence. There are so many people out there that don't know that businesses that allow the public in have there's no connection with the government there.
No.
They don't know it. I remember when I was a little kid, and this is the kind of brainwashing that communists do in America. When I was a little kid, I couldn't understand why the government doesn't make more grocery stores. I just assumed they all owned all the grocery stores.
That is the first time I have ever heard you say that. Wow.
I think that a lot of kids believe that all businesses are owned by government, and that they decide where the grocery stores go. It's the utopian communist dream.
I mean, that's what they want you to learn. And well, they were giving my children slavery books in kindergarten.
Yeah, that's true. They're teaching them I don't know if it's all black liberation theology, but they're they subtly
They said
throw
where
that in
freedom
there.
was. Freedom was where they escaped to. Canada.
Outside of your own country.
Canada.
That is true. They
Freedom.
did say that. Yeah, we said that in an episode. If you're new here, one of our earlier episodes, we talked about the Common Core books that kindergartners are required to read.
You ain't
That
lying.
it's so subtle. The propaganda. This is why people don't see it. Adults, they don't see it. They're not slapping it in your face. It's not the propaganda that you saw in Nazi Germany in the 30s,
Right.
where they had these nasty pictures of really ugly Jewish people and made them into monsters, and that there was something inherently wrong with their DNA and that they need to be exterminated from the earth. And over long periods of time, over about a decade, people started to believe that the Jewish problem was actually a legit problem. They actually believe that because
we've got trolls living among us.
right, and so the propaganda can work over long periods of time. We look at it now and we're like, how the hell do they believe in that stuff?
Did you see that movie Box Trolls?
Yeah, I did. I saw it recently.
Okay. Did we talk about that?
We talked about. I did a review on it.
Yeah, that's where it
at
came
the
from.
theater.
That's where it came
Yeah,
from.
that movie was all about the Holocaust.
Yeah, man.
And the fact that they made them trolls, is that racist?
I don't know. I would tell you what, though. I would not be upset if the Jewish community came out and said,
All y'all.
Oh, is that for real?
that was for real. So the Chattanooga, Tennessee shooting, where we had military members
Yeah, Marine Corps members.
that were at a recruiting office, apparently. Mm-hmm. And this jihadist, I mean, dude was straight all out jihadist. He followed some of the high up imams.
He went to the Middle East and he was given orders to do this. And ISIS, was it ISIS? Whatever terrorist organization over the Middle East took credit for it instantly. They knew it was going to happen.
They were saying they took credit for it so quickly, time-wise, because Middle East and America were on a different clock, okay, that they stayed up late past their bedtime.
All in anticipation of
Right,
this.
and they asked Allah for forgiveness for that. And it was okay because it was for the greater good of their cause.
Right. Lots of hypocrisy going on there.
It's okay. It's
Right.
okay. While they're working on new places to hide detonation devices.
Right.
Right. So he did what he actually scoped these guys out. He's all his detailed some of the information that's coming out is that he stalked these military members and watched them to
catch their patterns, pick up on their patterns.
Right, to get the massive, the most amount of casualties that he possibly could at one time.
Interesting. So he ended up killing those, was it 4 of them? 4 Marines?
Right, and then 5. It's a total of 5 because the 5th one died in the hospital.
Right. And, if there's only justice in the world if these people earn Purple Hearts and also get the status of having died in combat.
Might be a long time coming. This week was a really bad week for something like that to go down.
Really? Why is that?
Obama was busy.
He was busy with what? Pardoning terrorists?
Something else. Don't you make no never mind.
Oh, is it top secret now?
So Sean Hannity had one of the mothers of the murdered in combat mothers on his show, and he asked. It was really awkward because he said things like, I'd be angrier, and
what?
I can't say how angry. I'm not in your shoes. I'm not trying to put myself in your shoes or anything, but I'd be angrier.
So he was trying to lead her. He's leading the witness.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, you'll hear it. I got a sound clip of it, and he says to her, I would be angrier about this whole incident and how it went down because apparently recruiters are forbidden to have firearms at the recruiting stations.
It's a military person. It's ridiculous.
Right. Well, we'll get into all the details on that. So, but here's the fallen Marine's mother and her speaking out about her feelings and what's going on.
I am angry, but I'm mourning the loss of my son. I am angry, but
sure.
I'm mourning.
Have you heard from the president?
No.
Does that surprise you?
Oh my God, what a low life.
No.
What a low life. He is such a low life piece of crap. I swear, Obama
It gets worse.
I mean, I look back, I was too young to remember any of it, but I look back at the things that I learned about Jimmy Carter, and I was just like, wow, that's really unfortunate that we were cursed with such a bad president. This guy is the lowest of the low. I mean, it's just, I can understand if our president, it could be anybody, it doesn't have to be Obama, let's say President X, just doesn't do that kind of thing. When somebody dies of whatever happens, he doesn't call them, or he doesn't send a letter to them, or he doesn't contact them, or send somebody to do it on his behalf. He never did it for anybody, whatever. But for the amount of effort and everything that he went through to make sure that he commented on publicly on certain people's deaths and went to go visit and talk to, either on the phone or in person, the family of certain victims of violence, and then to not do it for these people and others like her, really, I mean, it's just so blatantly obvious. And how incompetent do you have to be if you're Barack Obama to not see how this looks?
I wonder, hold on. I wonder, because he's all about chaos, I wonder if he's doing this with the intentions that the more chaos I can cause, the better off it is.
But how does this cause chaos?
Because it gets the whole rights, well, not the right, but it gets everybody that really cares about the military, it gets them really upset. Like you right now.
You think that
I'm as upset as you are, by the way.
So his intention, let's get the people that care about the military so riled up and so steaming and fire shooting out of their ears because of it'll create chaos, and then
Well, they're white.
Oh, so it's a punishment.
I think so.
I want you to be mad.
It's possible.
Are you mad yet? Are you mad yet? You mad yet? You mad yet?
I am. All right, let me finish the clip.
The same White House that I didn't even see the flags at half-mast, did you?
I know that some states are doing it.
I'm talking about Washington.
But no.
Is this the same White House that, after the Supreme Court decision, put rainbow colors on the White House?
You know the answer to that one.
Is this the same White
Yes.
House that put out statements about Ramadan?
I believe so. I've really just been focused on my son. My son was taken from me, and he couldn't defend himself.
Okay, then I cut this last part off because
She's not interested in where he's going with this.
Okay, he said, my parents told me one time, that the parents aren't supposed to lose their kids before them, or kids aren't supposed to die before the parents.
Okay.
Like, he said that to her. And she's like,
He's trying
No,
to. He's
you're not-
he's
I mean-
trying to get her upset.
see, I know, that's why I stopped listening to Hannity. Because
But this is not like him. I've seen him in a lot of interviews with a lot of different people for different reasons. But this, I think he's going a little too far here.
dude, he went real. I sliced and diced this thing up really bad. To make
I
it,
can tell.
to give it a good light.
I got a good read on people these days, and it sounds like she is just not interested in going along with where he wants to go with this.
Right. Well, she seems like she has, with everything going on in her life, she seems like she has her mind intact. And at one point in time, he was like, so why don't you, if you could say something to the president, say something. What would you say? And she's like, yeah, well, I'm just going to keep that to myself. I don't think that's necessary to, And he's like, no, spill the beans.
It's good for my ratings.
It's good for my ratings.
Oh,
But she was clearly, if you'd seen her, when I first saw this video of this woman, my heart was absolutely I mean, it breaks every time I hear it.
she's
but when
doing a
you
really good job of keeping it together. And, it's obviously not good for ratings for her to react the way she is. But, I mean, you guys listening out there have loved ones. What if the most important, near, dear to your heart person was just brutally murdered by terrorists? And
they had, hold on, and the person that was nearest and dearest to your heart owned a stash or a cache full of weapons. He was an avid hunter, weapon collector. He had multiple guns, multiple weapons. Being a Marine, I don't know if they issued him weapons or how that works. If you're in the Air Force, you don't get nothing.
you get a wrench. You get a wrench.
They give you a choice between a wrench and a pen.
Well, in the board game Clue, I think you can beat somebody to death with
a wrench.
I don't know if it's not a wrench, a pipe. Is it a?
Oh, that's right. It was a pipe in the red room and with Mr. Plum.
It was the kitchen pipe, Mr. Plum. Actually, Mr. Marine bashed you.
Right.
Oh no, Air Force guy, because they're the ones. I don't think there was a wrench, but there are definitely different. The candlestick.
Dude, that would, that has happened in the past.
Right.
Somebody got because those things were made out of pewter.
Well, they also have brass and silver. They have silver ones too. How do we get off on this tangent? So anyway, no.
So he had weapons. He owned guns himself, and he was not allowed. He was following orders from his higher command and told, do not arm yourself while at the recruiting station.
So would you like to hear my idea for a policy? Like if I was president or if I was advising the president?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'd love to hear it.
I would advise, and I'm just going off of the reality of the world today. And so I'm not saying that he should be doing anything that actively changes the reality on the ground. I'm just saying this is something you would do to acknowledge what is really going on.
Okay.
And that is to come out, big press conference, whatever, and say, listen, We are at war with Islam. They declared it on us, and so we are at war with them. We have no choice in this. We can't just say, well, I know you guys want to war with us. You guys want to attack us. You guys want to kill us. You guys are going to continue to mount offensive battles against us. We're just going to go ahead and ignore that, and that should be sufficient. That's not going to work. So you acknowledge it by deciding, at the very least, we're going to defend ourselves. Now, because of the nature of Islamic terrorism and the fact that they've declared war on us, and you know what that means. They're not going to get their Air Force and try to carpet bomb us. That's not what they do.
No.
They're going to attack us any way they can. And they've demonstrated that they're not just playing around.
In
They're
a cowardly
actually,
fashion.
Yeah, a lot of people would look at it as cowardly, but the way that is there's going to be bombs at strapped to people that are at coffee shops.
Could be a child.
Could be
that's strapping bombs.
Strapping bombs. It could be a woman, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's going to be random. It could be a pressure cooker full of explosives at a Boston Marathon. Mm-hmm. It could be shooting at a recruiting office. It could be like the DC snipers who were clearly Islamic.
Boy, they really wanted to hide that.
You know, it took me years to figure that out. Like, you know what? Because the media never said, oh, by the way, they're Islamic or they're Muslims.
Right.
Just because it was right after 9/11. But anyway, so anyway, here's the policy. Every single military personnel on American soil and off American soil around the world must be armed as if they're on the battlefield, because they are on the battlefield.
Right. This is the first time in America, well, maybe not the first time in American history, but the first time since the Revolutionary War.
Well,
or at least
since Civil War.
Well, we weren't invaded in the Civil War. We were invaded when the Brits came over and burned the White House down.
Yeah.
Maybe since then has our land been breached.
Well, if there was ever a situation where there was a worry that we were going to have foreign invaders on U.S. soil attacking us, what was the policy back then? So, like during the Mexican-American War, at least on the border towns, what was the policy there?
Internment camps.
No, I'm saying, were the military people in those areas armed?
Oh yeah, I imagine so.
Did they have it strapped over their shoulder? I mean, was it
I'm
loaded?
sure. I'm absolutely
sure.
Sure.
Live rounds ready to go. Could they be attacked at any time? Was that a reality? Is that something that we acknowledge? Did we give them an opportunity to defend themselves? With the Islamic war, jihad, whatever you want to call it, yeah, you could be in the middle of the country, Chattanooga, wherever, and some guy, possibly even a traitor, which, by the way, why are we not charging people with treason? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we need to bring that to full force and to be a regular charge.
What was it? Julius and Ethel Rosenberg.
Rosenberg, yeah.
They were tried and convicted and executed by electric chair for just giving nuclear secrets to the Russians, who were at the time our enemy. We weren't even at war with them. We were not at war with USSR at the time.
Yeah, but when you take highly classified information and you give it or sell it to another country,
well, what if Julius and them Ethel? What if they sold it to, let's say, I don't know,
Mexico?
Spain.
Oh, Spain.
I'm trying to think of a country that would love to have it, that would use it to make bombs, but aren't necessarily somebody that might use it against us offensively, directly.
Yeah, you can't do that.
But would they have gotten executed for that?
Now that I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big question.
I think that because would
they have even been tried for treason?
We were at war. We were at it was the Cold War era. Tactically, it was the big bad bully, the big boogeyman, Russia.
I think the Cold War wasn't acknowledged until after that, but I'll have to look that up. I'm a little unprepared right now.
We know that the folks, you folks out there, we know you know. So go ahead and call in.
We have a new phone number now.
Yeah, we got a new number. Let me look.
We have to look it up. Oh my!
I keep wanting to say 774-772-49 Smith.
49 Smith. She's got
SMYTH.
69 Smith. That's easier to remember. 49 Smith. Like 1949, the year that the Cold War started,
Right.
I think. Or is that the year that Julius and Ethel
It's when,
gave away this?
when the Air Force became
from
from the Army Air Corps to the Air Force.
So getting back to treason, if a couple can give away classified and very, very, very important military secrets to a country that we're not really necessarily currently at war with, and be charged with treason, tried, convicted, and sentenced to death, and then summarily executed for
Right.
that, how on earth are we not going to town with this treason thing?
No, you're absolutely right. There's a
With the war on Islam and all this other stuff, as far as if you are actively engaged in, if you're talking to, first of all, we need to acknowledge that we're at war with Islam. We need to acknowledge that.
Oh, absolutely. We are in the middle of the battles. I mean, they're laughing because they're throwing haymakers at somebody that's not even looking.
Yeah, it's like when my sister-in-law sucker punched that girl.
Right.
What did she say? She didn't. She said, "Was that for real? Was that for real?" Like she got socked right in the face. Sucker punch
Out of nowhere from a different table.
from a different direction.
Right.
Like she wasn't even facing her.
Right, and after she screamed, "Was that for real?"
Well, the reason she said it was that for real because she
Such a shocker.
her immediate reaction was, "Oh, that had to have been an accident."
Right. So the sister-in-law then replied back to that, "Is that for real?" with, "Oh, yeah, that was for real. Beep."
There might have been a couple of extra beeps in there. Oh. So anyway.
And then shortly after that, she said,
All y'all.
Oh, my goodness.
So there is a woman, and they're calling her out as a 22-year-old woman. And they're throwing her age out. I don't know why, but maybe because she's wise beyond her years.
22? Wise beyond her years?
I can't wait till you hear the clip.
Oh, boy.
She works for Fox News
Okay.
as a reporter, and maybe has a show or part of a show.
Really? How 22? What kind of credentials
No,
does she
well,
have?
does
she work for the White House or something?
what's his face? Ducey has his. Is it his son?
Yeah, that's a little different. There's two things. Number one, he's royalty journalistically because of his dad.
Right.
But number two, he's the one that that had that video clip of him raking somebody over the coals. I can't remember who it was. Was it John Kerry or something? Somebody.
So he had like a famous rant that went viral.
No, it was an interview. Okay, it was somebody at a college campus. Okay.
Right.
And he was taking questions. Well, Peter Ducey, Steve Ducey's son, Peter,
Right.
stood up and said, "I have a question." And somebody was recording it. And it was great and just nailed this guy.
Oh.
And it went viral, and nobody knew that this was Steve Ducey's son. Nobody knew. And it didn't come out till
but
later.
the last name Ducey.
Well, nobody even knew this kid's name.
I know. But now,
Yeah.
like when I saw his name come across the screen, Ducey, there's nowhere possible that couldn't be a relation. Look at that, and they're both on Fox.
And they both look like
Each other.
Well, he looks like a younger version of him.
Correct.
Yeah. So
Well, this girl already works for Fox, and she had something to say about this shooting.
okay.
And she addressed the president himself, POTUS, and this one went viral. Looks like she might have cemented her position at Fox News.
Oh my goodness.
Welcome back. For some quick final thoughts tonight. Now, this won't take long, but it's important. 4 United States Marines are now dead. Climate change didn't kill them. Lack of free community college didn't kill them. The income gap, wage inequality, nope, not those things either. Gay marriage, nope. Oh, white racism? Not that either. So what did? President Obama, if you won't say it, I will. Radical Islam. This is not workplace violence. This is not a criminal act with motives unknown. This is terrorism. The suspected shooter, Mohammed Abdulaziz, a devout Muslim. Do I care that he seemed like an all-American young man? Do I care that he was good at mixed martial arts or a smart, quiet guy? Do I care that his high school friends wouldn't classify him as overly religious? No, I don't give a flying you-know-what about any of that. Was he linked to ISIS or Al-Qaeda or Hamas or any of the other 15-plus offshoot terrorist groups? Does it matter? I'm sorry, but radical Islam is becoming the rule, not the exception. Yesterday's moderate is today's terrorist. I care that this SOB killed 4 of our United States Marines, and I care that our commander-in-chief is more concerned with Muslim sensitivity than the honor and sacrifice made by these Marines. Now, this is the 21st time our military men and women have been attacked here at home. This is not a Middle East problem. This is an American problem, and I'm sorry, but I can't sit here and let this go. Not anymore. I come from a family of Marines. My grandpa was a World War II paratrooper. My uncle, a Vietnam Purple Heart recipient. My cousins, both Marine Corps officers. I have some very close Navy SEAL connections as well. In fact, someone very close to my heart is deployed to the Middle East right now. But the sad thing is, I was telling him last night, I think you're safer over there than you would be right here in the United States of America. I've had it with this failed strategy, this halfway, half-baked, tiptoe, be friendly to jihadis mentality pushed by this administration. Be a leader, someone. They, the radical Islamists, have brought the fight right here to the red, white, and blue, and it's about time we bring it to them, full force. Let's show them what the United States of America looks like up close and personal. Show them what a B-1 bomber looks like flying overhead. Show them what they're messing with. Put the fear of God in their desert, because clearly our lack of strategy isn't working. But with that, thanks for getting on point with me tonight. Let's talk on Twitter and Instagram at Tomi Lahren. Use the hashtag AmericaOnPoint. Have a great weekend. God bless you, and God bless America. Take care.
All y'all.
What? So, what was her name? Because I am definitely finding her on Twitter.
Tomi, Tommy, and then you spell her last name. It's Lahren, but you spell it Lahren. She is a tiny, small, blonde bombshell.
Well, that's how they get them on Fox. So let's see.
And apparently,
what was her name? Tommy. Wait, what?
And apparently, a firecracker to boot.
Yeah, definitely. What was it again?
Tomi. Lahren.
Let's see if this is it.
Lahren.
Oh yeah, there she is. On One America News, On Point, Tomi Lahren. I hope that's the right one. It could be somebody.
Yeah, On Point. On Point
Okay.
with Tomi Lahren. That's the
I'll
show that
take it.
she's on Point.
I'll take it. She actually looks like an ex-girlfriend of mine. Oh yeah, that's her.
So, but she, they have had her on Fox and Friends, and she also spoke at CPAC in 2015. So this year.
That's how you do it. If you get to speak at one of those things, yeah, I mean that's going to be such a huge resume builder. Because I'm trying to figure
jealous.
out, what is a 22-year-old? How do you just land a job? I mean, like Peter Doocy had to grill somebody publicly, and it had to go viral for him to have had much of a chance to just jump right on as a reporter with Fox News. So
Right. Well, while she's doing that and she's hammering down, there was a Fox News reporter on the scene, like days after the shooting. He describes the area around the recruitment center. It's about 50 seconds long, and I just want to play this because I want you to listen closely. A lot of times I'll play these sound clips because there are certain sounds that you need to hear and certain things that are said that you need to pick up that I think sometimes aren't picked up necessarily. So this is a couple of days after the shooting, after the murders, after the battle scene, if you will, and this Fox News reporting on it.
To the memorial here. This started as a very small thing around a light standard on Thursday evening, just a couple of flags and some flowers. It's now grown into a 200-foot long, absolutely, I guess I could say, rendering memorial for the 5 service members who died. And there's a lot of people here today because there are rumors that the Westboro Baptist Church may show up here to try to disrupt things. A real show of strength from people in Chattanooga. And across Chattanooga and the area, John and Patty Ann Brown, we're seeing signs, big billboards, electronic billboards, them saying Chattanooga strong. All the flags are at half-staff here. And a lot of people in Chattanooga questioning if the flags are at half-staff here, why are they not at half-staff in the White House, John?
Very good question. So many questions left to be answered there in Chattanooga. John Roberts, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so that was the first firestorm that went viral after Lauren's, did I just call her Lauren? Tommy's rant, was the fact that the White House, 2 hours after the Supreme Court ruled that a man can insert himself into another man legally through documentation, they're calling it marriage. We here on Smith Radio are calling it garage because that's what it is.
It's not marriage.
They need another word.
Right.
Okay, so Supreme Court said garage is good to go. 2 hours after that. Like, how long does it take you to get colored bulbs, light bulbs, to make the rainbow colors shine on the White House?
Well, in their defense,
2 hours.
Well, in their defense, the landscape lighting, that's what we call it in the industry.
Right.
Would have already been in place because the White House is lit up at night.
Well, no, but they're lit up with white lights.
Right. So I'm saying the electrical wires and the fixtures and all of that is already in place. So the only thing you would have to replace would be the bulbs, I think. The only issue would be that they looked very uniform and perfect.
Right.
I don't know if some additional fixtures would have had to been required in order to make the rainbow look so much like a rainbow.
Right. It was very neatly partitioned. Each color was lined off as if you painted it on there.
Practically, yeah, I would say. And landscape lighting doesn't necessarily have to work that way. If it's just going to be all white across the building, you could just flood it with white light all the way across. But then to change that to very neat vertical stripes would require probably a little bit of modification.
Not only that, but what would have probably had happened,
like lenses or
yeah, you would have to have something specialized. So it took them 2 hours to get that done and light that up.
It's almost as if they knew it was like
yes!
it was already bought and paid for, and I'm not talking about the lights. I'm talking about the decision.
Right.
So
right.
there goes my tinfoil hat again.
Oh, got it back on.
Got it on.
So 24 hours later, no, 48 hours afterwards. Take a guess. Give me a number. How long did it take the White House to drop the flag at half-staff when Whitney Houston OD'd on crack?
Don't tell me that. They put the country's flag on the people's house at half-staff for Whitney Houston?
Yeah, Dottie.
Shut up.
Drug OD.
Shut
drug OD
up.
Yeah, drug addict, crackhead.
Forget Chattanooga for a second.
Bobby Brown. What is Bobby Brown's fault?
Forget Chattanooga for a second. Forget everything that's going on with the military being killed.
We're coming back, folks. We're coming back.
Forget all that. If I had known that he had put the flag at half-staff for Whitney Houston dying, I mean, was she killed by a anti-American foreign jihadist at war with us?
No, she was killed by a bad crack dealer who gave her some bad drugs. Dude, she OD'd.
Right.
She got a
It goes at half-staff for that?
She got a bad batch.
I mean, I don't even have to... You don't have to compare the whether or not you would drop it at half-staff for Chattanooga or not for me to be able to say with a lot of confidence that you don't drop it for half-staff for Whitney Houston ODing or any other American ODing. And no, for you low-information voters, it's not, is it because she's black? No. It's because she's just a dumb, druggy entertainer, period.
Right.
And if you're offended by that, well, I didn't have that bad of a feeling about it. So I found out that the president has to put the People's House's flag at half-staff for a celebrity ODing?
Right.
I mean, it's not like a national, like some sort of a national tragedy occurred that caused her death. It's not like some suicide bomber blew up a coffee shop that Whitney Houston just happened to be drinking a coffee at.
Right. Right.
Even if she was at one of those places that sells drugs that legally in California, and that was blown up. Well, as long as it was,
you mean a weed house?
If she was at a weed house, and what did she die of? Was it heroin overdose? Was it crack?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it was.
Whatever it was.
Probably a little
you
bit
don't
of
die,
all
You
of
don't
it.
OD on weed. That doesn't happen. But let's just say she's at a weed.
I knew somebody that claimed. Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah, okay. I'm just upset by that. We've got the worst president, and forget about president, one of the worst human beings. I should maybe not human being, but definitely American. If you want to categorize people as American or anti-American or just foreigner, and we took all the ones that we can say are American and put those all in one category, technically Obama would be in that category. And if you line them up in ranking order from best patriotic American, smartest, whatever, to the worst, dumbest, most just all that, Obama's at the bottom. He's got to be among the bottom 1%.
Whitney Houston, who was ruled as pop music's queen until her majestic voice and regal image were ravaged by drug use, erratic behavior, and a tumultuous marriage to singer Bobby, I'm gonna beat you down Brown, died at 48 years old. 2 years shy of her 50th birthday.
Did she died of gunshot wounds from
drugs.
from an Islamic terrorist?
Yeah, it was a bad. They were saying it was a bad mix. I think Bobby Brown was cooking something up downtown.
Just like they do downtown.
Right. So they the flags at half staff for Whitney Houston. 2 hours. The White House is White House is colored rainbow colors. 2 hours after. How long? Give me a day. Give me some hours. How long until Obama was pressured into lowering the flag at half staff?
So he eventually did.
It is now currently.
So how long? I don't know. Like 48 hours?
5 days.
5 days. Like, how long do you keep it at half staff? At that point...
No. It was at full staff.
Until 5 days later.
Until 5 days later.
And then they were finally like, look, I've been trying to avoid it, but I don't think I can avoid it anymore.
Well, here's what happened. Donald Trump, and by the way, folks, whether you like him or not, he is doing a full circus around everybody. Come out this week, said, you know what? I'm ordering all my flags at every property I own at half staff, in spite of the president. Show him what he needs to learn. And I'm going to set up a hotline for veterans to call in.
Call into what?
Call into my hotline. We'll help them out, whatever you need. And they set up an email, veterans@donaldtrump.com. You can email, tell your stories, connect, do whatever, yada, yada. Trump. Stepped up and stood out.
Here's the thing about Donald Trump. He's a really, really smart guy when it comes to how things work properly and work the best. My only problem with him is that I don't think he fully, truly understands the entirety of the conservative ideology. And so, and also, I gotta laugh when people say, did you know that he supported this back in the day? Did you know that he was for this? Did you know he's a complete Democrat? Did you know he was totally socialist, or he agreed with or supported this socialist cause? Do you know that I was a full-blown liberal progressive atheist for 25 years? I was.
However, nobody knew that Obama was born and raised in Kenya until this weekend when all reports were his homecoming.
Oh my goodness! They all look. Everybody in Kenya knows where he was born.
They had a homecoming with big banners and signs, "Welcome home."
Right. That's because that's where.
Am I the only one to notice that?
Welcome home. Well, you know, the liberal press is probably like, can we make sure that that's not in this shot? Just
right.
Sure that's
so
not
here's a quote from Donald Trump. He said, "This disgraceful omission is unacceptable, and yet another example of our incompetent politicians. It is a simple yet meaningful and important gesture that signifies our respect and recognition for these great soldiers who lost their lives. We must do better for all Americans, especially our military. We must make America great again." That's his slogan, by the way.
And I think he can.
Make America great again.
And here's another thing about Trump. Everybody talks about how Reagan was one of the greatest presidents of all time, and I don't dispute that one bit. However, if you look at some of his positions and some of his actions during his 8 years as president, to today's Tea Party /
he wouldn't make it.
Well,
Might not make it.
They would look at that and say, whoa, that's a little bit left of where we want you to be.
And I think that is absolutely because it's the pendulum theory. Okay? The pendulum on a clock swings to the left, swings to the right, swings back and forth. The pendulum will swing as far right as it swung far left. Right now, we're in a position, maybe back in Reagan's day, the pendulum was swinging at maybe a 5 to 10 degree mark, back and forth, 5 to 10, 10 degrees, 15 degrees, back and forth. Right now, we're in a situation where that pendulum is swinging 90 degrees.
It's as far left as I've ever seen it.
I've never seen it.
However, there's something different. 2 years ago, or maybe 3 years ago, I would have said we're at the peak of how high and far to the left that pendulum can get.
Like it couldn't get any higher.
Well, right now, it's still very high, but it has almost infinite momentum down and towards the right. The momentum is there. It's all the way to the left.
Which can be very dangerous.
Well, I mean, if we go all the way to the right, I mean, what are you worried about, like a fascist dictator taking over?
No.
That could be. It could happen.
Well, no, what I'm saying it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous because the sense that it is swinging so hard left right now that when it comes back and Tea Party members and everybody pushing back, we're pushing back on purpose so far to the right.
Oh, I see.
In the hopes that we can get that damn thing somewhere back in the middle. Let's get it at least back this way a little bit.
Right. Well, obviously, the only way it could ever stay all the way to the right is if we were to eliminate some of the permanent legislation that makes socialism a part of the government.
Right.
Legally.
Which is
so wrong.
Yeah,
like my dad always said. My dad's always said the problem with the Democrats and socialists is that their policies get put into law and it becomes permanent, and that we don't have that on the right.
Right.
The right doesn't come into power and say, all right, we're going to institute this conservative law, and once it gets instituted, it becomes permanent law of the land forever, no matter who's in charge. With the liberals, you get one guy in for 4 years. He puts in a bunch of socialist laws, and then when he gets voted out, his legacy lives on forever through the ridiculous laws that were passed.
So,
like Obamacare.
Exactly. So the White House spokes kid, the new one, Josh Earnest.
Non-earnest or unearnest, whatever they call it. I don't know what the word would be there.
Who was the one, Ernest Goes to Camp?
Oh, Ernest. He's from the Bartles and James, I think. You remember that?
Yes, I do.
Know what I mean, Vern?
Know what I mean, Vern?
Know what I
That's
mean?
what it was, right?
Yeah.
Well, Josh Earnest came out in the closet
Oh, yeah, of course.
and said President Barack Hussein Obama.
Did he use the word Hussein?
No,
Oh.
that was an injection.
Is that what they call that?
I ejected that in the middle. Offered his condolences last week and may speak to veterans at a VFW conference Tuesday about the shooting. But he had no further comments. 5 days later, orders White House flag at half staff. So they asked Josh Earnest, they're like, hey, how come the flag in the White House isn't at half staff? He's like, well, Obama did offer his condolences
Oh, and that's good enough, right?
to the families. And see, this happened last week. This happened on Thursday, right? And he says he may speak on Tuesday of the next week, to a veterans conference about the shooting at a VFW. Like, what? Really? Are you guys that pathetic?
But at this point, they're at half staff, is what you're saying.
They are half staff right now. A lot of Marines were coming out.
Too little, too late is what I'm saying.
Right. A lot of Marines, a lot of military member, a lot of Twitter, Facebook, the social media, everything was blowing up. Whether Obama did this on purpose to make people mad or not, that's regardless. We'll never know. But no. It looks like the perception is social media pressured him into doing it.
I know. So it ends up not even.
It's a wash.
It's like falling on deaf ears at this point.
Right. It's a wash.
Well, and here's the thing. I've always been like flag at half staff, flag at not half staff. I have mixed feelings because I don't want to give too much credit to the terrorists for doing what they did. You know what I mean?
Right.
However, it was at half staff for Whitney
Houston.
My God, come on. That right there just makes me so angry at it not being at half staff for this. Because now we're doing side-by-side comparisons, and it's just, wow. I am just amazed at what kind of a person we have in the White House.
Right.
We have the enemy. We have the fox in the hen house.
All right, I'll cut that out. That was salt in the wound right there.
Oh, that is. And here's the thing.
Man.
I have no problem with Whitney Houston. She was a great singer.
And she did a great job in Bodyguard.
Well, that was Kevin Costner was really who stole the show.
Yeah.
Or was that Randy Quaid?
I don't know. You never know.
It could be either one. I don't know. Who's the one guy that everybody doesn't like from The Rock?
The Rock.
Yeah, Leaving Las Vegas guy.
You mean The Rock? Cage? Nicolas?
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. Yeah, I always get all these guys mixed up.
Who doesn't like him?
Oh, my dad hates him. He's like, I heard it was such a good movie, but when I found out he was in it, I just can't watch it. I won't do it.
Wow.
I have no idea why. He just can't stand Nicolas Cage.
Your dad's different.
Well,
that's special. I had never heard that before. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So
we, I know we're beating this up, but I want to make sure that we get all of this out, especially out of our systems. Right-wing news reports this week the Obama administration is still saying that our military recruiters will not be allowed to be armed in order to prevent terror attacks on their recruitment offices.
And what's the reason?
To prevent terror attacks on their recruitment offices.
Wait a minute. You're saying that the terrorist is going to say, I would have attacked them, but they're not even armed.
And demanded that the recruiters take off their uniforms.
Now, I actually demanded that when I was on recruiters assistance because, I mean, they wanted me to go in full service Alphas or Charlies to go to like the mall and talk to random high school kids. And I'm like, dude, as soon as they see me dressed like this, they're going to go running for the hills.
I don't know.
Depends, So it was a battle that I had with my recruiter. However, you're saying that they should be in civvies because...
That's civilian clothes for those of you in Westwood.
Yeah, civvies is what we call civilian.
Civilian clothes.
So they should be in their BVDs. Wait. Not that. Whoa.
Whoa, that was a long night one weekend.
Oh, man. When you got to walk all the way home in your BVDs. So they want everybody in their civvies because then you won't be able to identify them?
Right. And they also released another helpful hint for our recruiters. Close the window blinds. Keep the window blinds closed.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Right. So do you know what American citizens have done this week?
Oh, I heard this. Maybe you should tell the audience.
Well, apparently regular civilians, maybe retired or ex-military personnel, took to arms and walked out and stood in front of recruiting offices armed.
So you're saying that it's like, people look at the military as the heroes who are protecting us all.
Right.
Roles have been completely reversed. There are Marines that are coming outside of their office and saying, I just want to thank you for serving. I mean...
Serving as a civilian with arms.
Yeah, but what would that be? Citizens on Patrol?
Militia.
Oh, militia. There you go. Citizens on Patrol.
You mean
cop? Yeah, cop. Citizen. So, oh my God. Wow. I just said my earlier in the show, a half hour ago, I just said, as president, my policy would be to acknowledge that we're at war and acknowledge the fact that we will get attacked on American soil at will at any time, whether it be a lone wolf, it could be an American citizen that got on the internet and got fired up about the jihadist movement, or it could be somebody that's running across the Mexican border from originally from the Middle East,
right,
and doing attacks on American soil. As such, we should have military, not just as recruiters. I'm not talking about recruiters. I'm talking about recruiters and any other military personnel that are on American soil. They should be armed because we're at war, and the battlefield just happens to be on America.
Right.
Or on American soil.
Right. No, absolutely 100% true. So they were omitting this in the news, and I still can't figure out why, but they were omitting that the Marines actually, there was a Marine officer and a naval officer that gave fire, that shot back.
Yeah, that was a weird story. It's like, okay, they fired back, but then who killed the...
That's what they're not talking about. Who killed him?
Well, the original report was that a cop eventually came and...
Which is a joke, because why would local police and law enforcement need to protect the military?
Seems ridiculous. Ridiculous. You know what that's
Where
like?
do I live?
No,
where am I living? I feel like I'm living in La La Land.
It's like... It's kind of like Mike Tyson out at the club needing a bodyguard. I mean, it's Mike Tyson.
Well, yeah, but the bodyguards actually protect the other women from...
I thought you were going to say protect the other club goers that could... But, okay.
Right. Did you know that when he went to jail, they had to put him in a juvenile detention facility in Indiana? Because in the adult prison, everybody was trying to take pop shots at him, like they were going to beat him up.
Well, that happened when he was not even in jail. People out of the club would be like, "Hey, Tyson!" and punch him.
Well, you think about it, if you punch Tyson right in the nose or in the face, or you got a hit on him, and he hits you back, his hands are classified as lethal weapons.
He could be. It could be assault with a deadly weapon.
You could get some money.
Well, that goes without saying. Of course you're going to get money. In fact, I think that's what happened a lot of times. People would get money. And I don't think they were doing it for the money. I think they were like, I want to feel what it feels like. Why do you think that scene in...
Fight Club?
No, not Fight Club. The scene from The Hangover.
Oh,
One of the greatest scenes was him getting punched by Mike Tyson. He get knocked out, and then afterwards, they marveled over the fact that he got punched.
That he took it.
He got knocked out.
Well, he lived.
He did live.
He lived.
That's true. That's true. And they marveled at, oh my gosh, you got punched, you got knocked out by Mike Tyson. That's awesome.
But the last thing I'm thinking of is local law enforcement needing to protect the military. That is so.
It's kind of
so
pathetic.
sad.
I would be embarrassed as a Marine.
And when you say pathetic, it's pathetic because their leader has led them down that path.
It's called leading from behind.
So he put the cart in front of the horse. It told the horse, of course, go.
And the horse is like, what?
I know better than this.
He's behind the horse.
Right. Somebody put a picture up of a gorilla, and it said,
we're going down the wrong path.
No.
We're going away. I'm getting
no.
images of Howard Cosell. Oh, we are going way down the wrong path.
See, now I didn't go there. I should have that sound clip. But the gorilla that had like an air quote or statement from the gorilla saying, "How dare you say that you're descendants from me? I got more sense than y'all."
Oh, okay.
Where were you going?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
know. I know how liberals work. And as soon as you are talking about politics and the word gorilla, monkey, ape, maybe orangutan.
Right.
You say those words.
Did you just say orangutan? What were you talking about? Were you talking about a
You just can't say those words in politics.
So do you feel lucky?
Oh, that movie with
Any Which Way But Loose.
Oh no!
Any Which Way But Loose.
Right Turn Clyde.
Right Turn.
Oh no! Oh,
dude, who says it's okay? I mean, look at the way people looked at Michael Jackson for having a monkey.
That was a chimp?
Whatever. Still goofy, dude.
I think a chimp is a monkey.
Right, but
I don't know.
An orangutan?
We need a biologist to call.
Who has a movie? Who makes a movie that says my best friend's going to be an orangutan?
I don't know.
Okay, so did you know since 1950, all terrorist attacks, all mass murders that have happened in America, and I forgot about this point until it just struck me. That's an ADD kicking in. All of them but 2 have happened in gun-free zones.
I mean, I'm not surprised by that.
No, I'm not surprised.
And here's the thing, too. Just because you haven't classified your property, your public business or whatever, as a gun-free zone, that does not mean that every single person there is armed.
When I went to the mall with the kids, it was just me and my 2 girls. And at the front door, there was a huge sign with a gun and a red line through it. And it said gun-free zone. I had a whole thing. And I stopped my girls. I said, "Girls, you see that?" They're like, "Yeah, Daddy, you know I'll bring a gun in there." I said, "I know. We need to be on high alert. If you see somebody with a gun, we got to run."
Right.
Because they're a bad guy.
Or they're breaking the rule, and they're there because they know that they can shoot everybody like sitting ducks.
Right.
And that's exactly why they're there.
So the FBI director came out of the closet this week and said, I can confirm that there are terrorism investigations currently ongoing in all 50 states, and we encourage the public to speak up.
He's saying that there's terrorism going on in all 50 states.
There's investigations.
Oh, investigations.
We are doing undercover investigating. We're looking into situations that we're classifying as terrorism or possible terrorism in all 50 states currently right now.
And so what are they asking us?
If you see somebody committing terrorism acts, speak up.
That's a PSA for all you guys out there.
Don't keep it to yourself. PSA. I don't know if this is miscategorized, but we're coming to the end of this segment, I'd imagine. Nancy, I've lost my mind, Pelosi, appointed a guy named Andre Carson to a highly sensitive House Intelligence Committee that deals largely with classified information and activities. This appointment was met with great public outcry from those concerned about exposing a Muslim to our nation's secret. He's a man who has also been widely known in association with terrorist front groups.
So she has appointed a terrorist to what position?
House Intelligence Committee.
Oh my, what? So the Fox is in the hen house, and
Andre Carson, Democrat, Indiana.
And by Fox, I mean communists.
Correct.
Because there's a lot of them.
There's a few generals, and there were a handful of articles that came out this week. Former generals, older retired generals, that are claiming right now that there are ISIS Muslim terrorists in every single branch of the American government.
Well, I mean, you can't be surprised by that, considering our president is a Muslim, and not just a moderate
I feel like
Muslim.
he's inflicting terror on me. I'd like to refer to him as a terrorist.
Yeah, I mean, no, you have to, because it's a well-known fact that if you're a Muslim, a jihad is required.
Right.
And it has been established that America is the enemy.
Right.
They are the infidels that need to die.
Right.
And they all must do their part to battle in any way they can against America.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, you wanted me to get that sound clip this week from Wesley Clark?
Oh, yeah. That was early in the...
I got that clip.
Cool.
Because it's kind of part of this whole terrorist ISIS thingamajig.
Oh, boy, does he ever step in it.
Lone wolf, if you will.
So do you have it now? You got it loaded?
We got it queued up. 2A, Mr.
So do we know what question was asked to him? That
Yeah. How do we deal with... Let me look back at my notes. He says, how do we fix lone wolves?
Oh, the lone wolf. Okay, so we're talking about... these are...
Because that's what they were trying to call this guy. Not a jihadist, not a terrorist.
So let's
call him a lone wolf.
Real quick, before we get to the sound clip, let's just go over this real quick. A lone wolf is the name that progressives give to active terrorist Islamic soldiers who are They have acted upon the war against the U.S., and they could have succeeded or not succeeded, but we have identified them as the combatant. They call them lone wolves in order to detach them from the war and say, well, these guys were just crazies.
Who, and I'm trying to think of the Colorado shooter that did the Joker hair, was orange dyed hair.
Yeah, this week he's the one that could get the death penalty.
Right. He was a lone wolf.
That's true, because
I'm trying to point out to the audience what would
that's a good example.
Be a lone wolf and
because
what would not
there is absolutely no connection whatsoever between him and Islam. If you hear that somebody was inspired by Islam, or in this case in Chattanooga, ordered by and organizing with people in the Middle East, I'm talking not any people, Muslims in the Middle East, they're not a lone wolf. Right. They are a very well-connected soldier in the battle against the United States, the war against the United States.
Right.
So, and he went to battle, and why would they do that? Why would they detach him? The reason they detach him from the movement is because it doesn't look good to their sitting communist president, Barack Obama, to have all these successful terrorist attacks on his watch.
Is there a lot? Is it me, or does it seem like there's a lot going on?
Let me put it to you this way. During 8 years, or we'll say 7, because the first year we didn't get 9/11 didn't happen yet.
Right, so he only had 7 years.
From the 7 years between 9/11 and the time that Bush was out of office, we didn't have a single attack on American soil. And some would say, well, there was unconstitutional Patriot Act that helped to prevent that, which... now you're weighing safety and constitutionalism and all that kind of stuff.
But the Founding Fathers talked about that too as well.
Right. But the fact of the matter is if you want to rate success on whether or not we had attacks, I mean, he was pretty damn successful. No attacks.
Well, you want to rate success? Do what we do in a high school basketball game.
Which is?
Look at the score.
There you go.
Look at the
There's a
scoreboard.
lot-
Check the scoreboard.
Yeah, and Obama has had a lot of terrorist attacks on his watch, and so journalists and other progressives and supporters of the communists in office will try to detach these attacks from terrorism or Islam by calling them lone wolves.
Right.
So, Wesley Clark was asked how we deal with these, quote, lone wolves. In my words would be terrorists in America attacking successfully.
Generally, a lot of people would say you reap what you sow. So how do we fix self-radicalized lone wolves domestically?
Okay. I got the question a little bit wrong. I mean,
that's pretty much it.
I mean, but that self-radicalized. I mean, he
has nothing to do with what's going on in the Middle East. These are people who have made up their own radicalization.
And that the first clip at the very beginning, you reap what you sow. That's what he said. He said, you reap what you sow. How do we... did you hear that part?
No, I didn't. We have to play it from the beginning
we'll go from the beginning, folks.
Just in case you didn't hear it too.
Generally, a lot of people would say you reap what you sow. So how do we...
How is that a preface
Many
to
people
this?
say you reap what you sow. It's in the Bible.
No. He's blaming America. He's starting off by saying, look, all right, we all know that America is responsible for all these attacks on itself. That's what he's saying. He's starting the question. Who asked this? This guy has got to be a total anti-American communist.
I mean, he works for the Communist Party and CNN.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he works
Communist
for
News Network. That's right.
Did you see that picture that I posted on last Sunday? We were at a Veterans Park, and I saw a big giant twisted I-beam in the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, it's there. Mm-hmm.
And as we drove to the parking lot, I told the wife, I said, you know what that probably is?
No, it is, yeah.
So I went over there and I took a picture of it with me. I mean, I wasn't smiling or anything like that at all, but it was a twisted I-beam from the Twin Towers, and it was emotional. Like I could, whether I was projecting or not, it was unbelievable, my projection, but I could feel it. Like it was just there. So I put that up on Facebook, and lo and behold, somebody from L.A. had to comment and said something to the fact that why don't you look a little bit further and see who really did that? Bush and Cheney. Bush and Cheney.
That is the most... Do you know that
he is a high-paid lawyer.
Really?
High-paid, very wealthy lawyer who sits and does this stuff on the internet.
Well, you know, the guy that came out with the original video, I can't remember the name of the video, but it's very well known. If somebody were to call in and say it right now, I'd be like, oh, that's right. Everybody knows that. The original conspiracy theory on 9/11 was a kid who was just kind of throwing it out there as a tongue-in-cheek, almost like a joke.
Steel don't melt.
The whole thing was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
And when he tried to backtrack, he realized that the movement would not let him. So he's like, well, screw it, let's just run with it. And he came out with subsequent sequels and all kinds of stuff. And he ended up becoming pretty much world famous for it. And it was not... He wasn't serious. It was kind of like I wonder, what would people think if I...
Yeah, that is tongue-in-cheek. I mean, that's what that is, yeah.
Yeah, and, well, now he has to be dead serious about it. But originally he was not. Originally he was like, oh, check this out,
Right.
But you know what? When you create a religion... I mean, it's like L. Ron Hubbard. He jokingly said...
He was a very
science fiction.
Known science fiction writer.
Yeah, very well. And he said, where the real money is making up a religion.
Yeah.
So he jokingly, sort of half jokingly, wrote Dianetics, and when people read it and it was written as like it's the Bible of Scientology. I mean, you can't turn those people around.
They talk about when you die, you leave this body, leave this world, and you go to another globe, another world, and
Like
the
another
backside,
universe.
Yeah,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and the backside of the dark side of that globe is waiting for you.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's kind of like heaven.
He said that he'd been there though,
Oh, my
in a
goodness.
spaceship.
Oh my goodness! Have you seen the new commercial for? There's more commercial. Anyway,
Okay.
we'll get back to Wesley Clark. So the question of Wesley Clark.
Here's Wesley.
General, a lot of people would say you reap what you sow. So how do we fix self-radicalized lone wolves domestically?
Well, we've got to identify the people who are most likely to be radicalized. We've got to cut this off at the beginning. There are always a certain number of young people who are alienated. They don't get a job, they lost a girlfriend, their family doesn't feel happy here. And we can watch the signs of that, and there are members of the community who will reach out to those people and bring them back in and encourage them to look at their blessings here. But I do think on a national policy level, we need to look at what self-radicalization means, because we are at war with this group of terrorists. They do have an ideology. In World War II, if someone supported Nazi Germany at the expense of the United States, we didn't say that was freedom of speech. We put him in a camp. They were prisoners of war. So if these people are radicalized and they don't support the United States and they're disloyal to the United States as a matter of principle, fine, that's their right. It's our right and our obligation to segregate them from the normal community for the duration of the conflict. And I think we're going to have to increasingly get tough on this, not only in the United States, but our allied nations like Britain and Germany and France are going to have to look at their domestic law procedures.
Okay, so he's pretty much saying that for some reason, the premise of him deciding that this is what we should do is that when we did it in World War II, not only was that okay, but that's widely accepted, and everybody knows that people look back at that and look at that as like a black eye on America, that we kept Japanese people and German citizens, and it was also a problem in World War I. Some of my German ancestors who weren't even born in Germany, they were like the grandchildren of German immigrants, and they were like, "Oh, you Germans, you guys should," they were ostracized big time for being German.
Wow,
and Cincinnati's a really
big German town,
right? This back in the turn of the 20th century. It was just loaded with, the older Germans would have been German immigrants, but all the kids and the young, parents of the kids would all have been second and third generation Germans, but they were all 100% German, and so everybody kind of looked at them funny during World War I. And then there may have been internment camps, I don't know, but World War II is the internment camps that everybody talks about, and how it's kind of a black eye, and that we shouldn't have ever done that, and there were Japanese Americans that were patriots. They were supporting America's cause and were against what Japan did in Pearl Harbor and all that. But it didn't matter. It was like this racism of Americans who would, put these patriotic Japanese Americans in internment camps just because, they're Japanese, they might be the enemy type of thing. For him to not acknowledge that it's well known that people don't celebrate what they did in the internment camps. Here's what the problem is. What we need to do is just monitor them if during war. I think that people that were, let's say, Japanese nationals in America or Japanese American citizens who were born in Japan, just monitor them. If they do anything that is clearly against the United States, charge them with treason. That's what we're talking about. And in this case, when somebody in America does something to support, in fact, what's the definition we have from the Constitution of treason? Let's see. Treason. If you violate the constitutional definition of treason in the Constitution, you should be charged with it. Why are we not charging people who are obviously acting like traitors with treason? It's just not happening. And that's the problem. And Wesley Clark, that was the answer he should have gone with. And
Right.
he blew it. He blew it by not going with the treason thing.
Article 3, Section 3, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court.
So there are people, even like Chris Cornell, satisfies that definition. He could be charged with treason.
Should be.
And they're just not. They're just like, well, treason, it's
It's a bad thing.
Yeah, like what is wrong with you people? It's the reason the founders put it in the Constitution. You need to use it for the protection of patriotic Americans. It's like, I'll tell you what it is. Progressives believe that treason is a protected right. They believe that it is protected under the First
like
Amendment.
he said, or I don't think it was him. I think it was the sound clip I had earlier that no, coming out and doing these things, that's not a freedom. It's not your right to go ahead and say what you want in the sense of
Wesley Clark saying that.
Right.
Okay,
I mean,
so the thing is the entirety of his statement was really bad. It was really bad. It seemed like he was going down the right path, and then he
slipped in it.
He stumbled a couple times along the way, and then he went face first right in dog crap.
Right. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely. So that was Wesley Clark, and no, I mean what he should have said is during times of peace, when you do things that are actions against the United States or aiding our enemies, you should be tried with treason per the U.S. Constitution. During war, which is what we don't acknowledge that we're in, that we should,
right?
You should be more vigilant and more likely to charge treason on people.
Well, and the reason why we keep saying we're at war is because the enemy
has declared war.
Has declared war upon us.
And it's not just rhetoric. They're obviously acting on it.
Well, they're acting on it, and they're continuing to say it. Like this week, just a little update on the Iran nuclear deal.
Which, by the way, can we try Obama for treason at this point?
There are generals that are coming out saying that there's treasonous acts. That the president should be. And this, I don't know how much of this you know, but the more I'm going to list it all out. And your blood, you thought your blood was boiling before. It may come to a rolling boil.
If Julius and Ethel Rosenberg can be executed by the electric chair for what they did, how in the world is Barack Obama escaping the electric chair?
I don't know.
I mean, for real.
I don't know.
For real. Anyway.
So this week, on a kind of a good note, I mean, when I say kind of, I mean I'm really excited that Tea Party is still alive and kicking, whether the news media wants to let you know or not.
Is it alive and kicking or alive and twitching? Because I don't know.
It's twitching a bit. But I probably didn't hear about this. This was a hard article to find. 12,000 members ascended on the Capitol this week in protest of the Iran deal.
Well, they should. And you know what? Kudos to those people who've decided to act.
Guess who spoke there?
Oh, who's that?
Ex-Congressman Alan West.
Oh, I didn't read about what he said, but I heard that he spoke, and I heard it was good stuff.
It was good stuff. I'm just going to play just a real... This is when he opened in his first statement, if you will. I'm just going to play that clip, and then I'll stop it, and we'll move on. But this is something that man, this is something that presidents say. Yeah, it's like the rallying the troops, if you will. So here we go. Alan West.
How y'all doing in Times Square? Hey, look at here. I'm not one of these highly educated, easily speaking, kind of intellectual guys. I'm a U.S. Army combat paratrooper. And this is what I want to say. This is the simple message that we should be sending to Iran. When Iran stands up and they chant death to America, all we need to say is, you first.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh.
There you go. I mean, yeah, folks, I know I slipped. That was Times Square.
Yeah, I was like, wow, the Capitol. What?
Two different stores. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
But
Alan West was there.
Yeah. And this speech goes on for about 7 minutes, and that's all he does is, I mean, that's just who he is. And to think...
he has a very combative style when it comes to his rhetoric, his speaking. It's very combative. He's not like... most people in politics are just tend to be a lot more diplomatic, and he's just not like
they'll
that.
dance around. It's hard to nail Jell-O to the wall.
Okay,
and that's not him.
If you could take Donald Trump, send him through the military, and give him a little bit of better PC abilities,
some refinement,
a little bit of refinement as far as like avoiding stepping in it, you would end up with Alan West. Oh, and you had to make him black too, but
well, depends on who you're asking. There's a lot of people out there that are black that claim that Alan West is not black.
And I'm not surprised by that.
And what's really upsetting is how it was even remotely possible without lying, cheating, and stealing for him to lose his seat to a Native American Indian who isn't Native American Indian.
Well, the person that took his seat is just the worst. The worst. Didn't he have like some criminal background?
No, it was her. What's her face said that you didn't earn that. You didn't earn that.
She beat Alan West?
I believe it was
I thought it was a guy that had a criminal background. And it came out in the commercials. It was ridiculous. It was he got arrested at his fraternity party or something.
Wow. Okay,
for drunken
Patrick Murphy.
Yeah, didn't he have like criminal background or something? I'm going to have to get out the old Google. Get out the old internets.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, there's definitely.
What was his name again?
Patrick Murphy. I mean, I'm seriously. There's shenanigans going on in Florida, like you'd never know. But as he looks that up, so let me get into the details and the new stories that are coming out about the Iran deal. Apparently, it's come out that last week we talked about it, that Iran would receive $150 billion in relief.
Oh, Patrick Murphy had a drunken assault of a police officer.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Democrat Patrick Murphy, who has criticized West's military career to cover up his own brawl with the law, literally a brawl with a police officer. The ad called a shame. Narrator says, first, Patrick Murphy called a man who fought to defend his country a coward.
Yes, I remember this.
Murphy hid behind his father in attacks that were called racist and disgusting. So a racist criminal cop assaulter beat a patriotic hero, military hero. The ad then airs TV media quotes stating that the attacks on West were a low blow, disgusting, and a display of racial stereotypes. The ad then shows photos of West in his army fatigues with fellow soldiers. Now Murphy is questioning the actions of a soldier in combat fighting to protect his men. Why? To hide his drunken assault of a police officer. Boom!
Wow.
It's just a shame. When he ended up losing, it was a shock to everybody. There were people in on the conservative side, Republicans, whatever, who were just really shocked that somebody that is as much of a lowlife as Patrick Murphy could beat such an honorable, good.
That's who it was. Scott Brown. Elizabeth Warren. That's who I was thinking of. Elizabeth Warren beat out Scott Brown.
In California.
No, in
Scott.
But we're all in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren claimed that she was Native American Indian, and
she beat
Scott Brown.
So right now, Scott Brown's not in.
Right, correct.
Oh, I thought
Elizabeth
he had
Warren
just recently won.
Oh, you're talking about Jerry Brown.
Oh, my goodness.
Jerry Brown's California governor.
We're going to fill this wall up with all the names.
It'll be the mafia. It'll be the mafia picture.
Yeah,
like the
with
CIA, all the connections.
Yes. We're going to have to do that.
That's
because,
exactly
wow.
it'll be.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have, next to every name, there'll be like the predecessor and any notable things and what state they're from. Because we're going to have all 50 states and all the representatives. I mean, it's the only way to really do it properly so we can educate the low information voters.
So
anyway.
As Iran is set to receive a windfall of $150 billion, that number has changed.
Okay.
It's now upwards $700 billion in sanction relief and economic windfalls as a result of a recently inked nuclear accord reached with global powers, according to the former Israeli ambassador Michael Oren. $700 billion.
Huh. Okay.
Senior Iranian official who led the negotiations with world powers that led to the recent nuclear deal said the Islamic Republic, I don't know how they call it the Islamic Republic, but will continue to import and export arms freely across the globe without restrictions. According to recent comments flagged by CIA's Open Source Center, Abbas, Iran's deputy former minister, said that he insisted during the negotiations that Iran be able to purchase and ship military hardware at any time from any place, anywhere in the world, according to the comments made on state-controlled television. He vowed to buy weapons from anywhere and everywhere possible. Quote, unquote.
Well, and that's what we know that they would do. The only way, like a person that I'm going to remain nameless here, told me, because you know the CIA probably all over us, and then they'll be all over them.
Right.
That this all makes sense. You got to ask yourself, what motive would Barack? I mean, is he really that incompetent? Is he really that stupid? He's got to know where they're going with this and what their motives are and what their feelings are about whatever it is, whatever deal that he ended up striking. Why would he go down this road? And the only way any of it makes any sense is if you take into consideration the context of Barack Obama being an actual Muslim.
Right.
And by Muslim, we all know what that means. We all know that means that you must believe in death to America.
Right. The Iranian supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, said on Saturday the nuclear deal with world powers did not signal any wide shift in Iran's relations with anti-U.S. policies as well as anti-Middle Eastern policies. They're going to keep up anti-American, anti-Middle East policies.
Now, did they announce that? That was so apparently the rhetoric against us and the policies of being anti-American was not on the negotiating table when Barack Obama was doing the negotiating.
Might have been on the last page on the back.
Well, no, you're saying that they're sticking with their policy.
Right.
They're not reneging on anything that they...
Correct. It wasn't part of the deal.
It's not like they're saying, hey, I know we told them we're going to stop the rhetoric.
Correct.
But we're not going to. No, it was never on the table. So they can go and they can brag about how they can continue their anti... Now, didn't John Kerry, didn't he have something to say about it?
He did, but we talked about this on Monday. Last week on Monday, the UN Security Council unanimously endorsed the Iran deal.
For why?
The UN is completely 100% on board.
Because I didn't know they were Islamic.
I didn't know they were either.
Yeah, I mean, that's a shock to me, but clearly that's the case.
Right. So, I don't know. And I see somebody came out, one of the American and Iranian ambassadors interrupted one of the backup. After they unanimously endorsed the Iran nuke deal through the show of support with it was interrupted shortly afterward by a war of words between the American and the Iranian ambassador. The Iran's ambassador lashed out at the U.S. mere moments after the vote in retaliation for U.S. Ambassador Samantha Powers bringing up Iran's human rights record.
Okay.
So the American ambassador brought up Iran's human rights record, which is abysmal.
Well, I can't imagine it's very good, but, I mean...
And so the Iranian ambassador lashed out at her. This is all going on in the UN.
Uh-huh.
While Iran is getting all nuclear weapons and claiming that they'll do whatever they want to do.
Well, they will. And now that they have Barack Obama's blessings, why wouldn't they?
Oh, yeah.
All the possible punishments or whatever that could go on that could prevent them from going just full blown. They're gonna ramp up. They're gonna use our taxpayer dollars from American citizens. They're gonna funnel that to Iran. They're gonna use it to fast track their entire nuclear production program, nuclear weapon production.
Right.
And we're not going to be able to inspect to make sure they're not doing that because they have enough time and enough of the agreement of the treaty that was done by Barack Obama by our guys is going to prevent us from ever being able to go in and see anything that they're doing.
Right. Well, Iran is saying that that they've secured their right to deny access to any of their sites for nuclear inspections and to ballistic missiles. It's part of the deal.
Right. And that's the thing that I don't even think Barack Obama even knows.
There's a resolution. They said there was a resolution in acceptable form, meaning that the resolution was accepted, it was put in correctly, it was done right, and that whole restriction on Iran's missile program has been removed from Chapter 7 of the UN Resolution 1929 and has turned into a non-binding restriction, which means...
And by non-binding, meaning you can just completely ignore it.
Right. It's done. It's so done. Not only that, this week come out, there was 2 sections that Obama and the administration was keeping separate from the deal that they gave Congress. And so John Kerry was on Capitol Hill in front of Congress, and they're like, dude, what about these other 2 things? There's 2 more pieces to this whole package, this puzzle. What do they say? Apparently, John Kerry told lawmakers that he has not read the side deals, never possessed a copy of them, and approved the nuclear agreement without knowing their details.
Of course not.
Who said that one of the congressmen said this, quote, "These side deals were essential to getting a deal signed in the first place. Iran believed these side deals to be important to an overall agreement, and so should the United States. It's essential for Secretary Kerry to know what's in the deal, and it is essential for the U.S. Congress to know what's in the deal," Kansas Republicans said.
Apparently, it wasn't important for Kerry to know what's in the deal.
Are they taking a page from Nancy Pelosi?
It's not a page from her. It's the page from the entire progressive handbook. It's like these I guess think tanks,
right,
in these smoky backlit rooms.
Right.
They open up the door and they say, you got the next document for us to try to ram through Congress? And here it is right here.
Because the rest of these were so easy to get through. Let's see how hard we can get it in.
Well, what's it do? Can you give me the gist of it? Oh, yeah, well, it gives Iran nukes. Oh, okay, all right.
You'll never get that through, but let's see.
Maybe I'll spit it.
I'll spit it.
I'll lie about it.
So when John Kerry was on the hot seat, Marco Rubio asked this question. He said, if Israel decides it doesn't like this deal and wants to sabotage an Iranian nuclear program or facility, does this deal that you and Obama sign, does this deal obligate us to help Iran defend itself against Israel, for that matter, the sabotage of any other country in the world? So if anybody in the world attacks Iran, does this deal say America must protect Iran?
And the answer is?
You rang. Here's the quote. John Kerry didn't exactly say no. He was, however, confident.
He can't, unless he's lying.
He said he was confident that Israel wouldn't attempt a cyber attack on Iran.
Why?
That's what he said.
If I was Israel, I'd be doing everything in my power. It's for their very survival.
So Republican Tennessee Bob Corker said, "From my perspective, Mr. Secretary, I'm sorry. I believe you've been fleeced."
Fleeced? Oh, my God.
He said, "I believe you've been fleeced and bamboozled."
Is that a direct quote?
Out of Tennessee.
Well, he's from Tennessee. Okay.
Bob Corker.
Oh, he's fleeced, huh?
He said fleeced.
Was it John Kerry that got fleeced, or was it Barack Obama, or everybody?
Yeah, told John Kerry, claiming the agreement paves the path for Iran to eventually developing the nuclear. But you've been fleeced. He did. He screamed at him. Said, "You've been fleeced."
What an idiot. I would have said that. I would have said, John Kerry, you are an idiot.
Yeah. So this would put Obama in the portion, I believe, of treason, in the realm of treason, all of this stuff.
If he's the author of it, if not him, John Kerry, or whoever's job it was to put this together, there should be, here's what I would say, because I'm a reasonable man. I would find out who the author of this is, and I would launch an investigation to find out if it was either gross incompetence.
Right.
I don't even know if gross is even the proper adjective to describe the incompetence required to have this happen.
You'd have to know you were doing it.
Or,
right.
If
by design.
If not that, was it an attempt to commit a treasonous act per the U.S. Constitution? And whatever the conclusion of that investigation would be how I would decide what the punishment would be. If it was gross incompetence, there'd be some firings and all that, possibly some jail time, depending on what the result of that incompetence was. Because you can't, in the Marines, if I were to incompetently put the wrong part on an aircraft that would cause it to crash, you could get sent to jail for that.
Oh, yeah.
For incompetence.
Oh, absolutely.
So there would be that. Or if it was intentional, there'd be treason. In addition to that, I would allow Congress to strike this whole stupid thing down like it's supposed to, even though I think that they've...
I don't think they can.
Yeah, I think that they just recently enacted the fast track.
Right.
Giving Barack Obama full power to sell out America completely to our enemies, which he has done.
Yeah, well, John Kerry and Obama both threatened Congress that if they don't sign this, that they're going to make fun of their mamas.
And you know what?
They're going to go up there and tell mama jokes.
The rhinos will fall for that and be like, "Oh my gosh, people aren't going to like us."
Right.
They're not going to like us. We better go along.
So there's a place called I've heard it pronounced multiple ways, but Qatar.
I think it's Qatar.
Qatar?
Yeah.
Okay, not Qatar.
Right. It looks like it should be Qatar.
I've heard people call it Qatar, but that was early on.
I think it's Qatar.
Qatar. So we're here at Smith Radio officially Qatar. Okay. Well, this should get Obama the Rosenthal chair for sure.
The throne. Is it Rosenthal or Rosenberg?
Rosenberg throne. Qatar is classified by the State Department as a country that's funding Al-Qaeda in Syria, and as well as the organizations like ISIS, ISIL, things like that in Iraq. And according to the Washington Institute, David Cohen, the Treasury Department's Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, says that Qatar is a permissive terrorist financing environment. So Qatar is like the worst of the worst of the worst. And they are known and they claim to be part of. So they're down with the terror.
Okay.
They say it. They've done it. They've proven it.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the U.S. just sold $11 billion worth of Patriot missiles and Apache helicopters to them.
Julius and Ethel Rosenberg. And here's the thing. It's a sitting president. I'm okay. I can go along with somebody saying, you can't...
Patriot missiles?
No.
No, I can't get over Patriot missiles. I can't get over that.
Right, that way when Israel starts firing missiles at Qatar...
Right.
They Qatar. We're going backwards. Qatar, that they will then be able to shoot all of them down, shoot the missiles down with the Patriot missiles. That's what the Patriot missile does.
Right.
So yeah,
and Apache attack helicopters.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no match for Israel's Air Force. They are some of the great of the great. I mean, they're very well disciplined. There's no question about that. But still,
they are a hornet's nest.
Nightmare. Ready to... I mean, I'm not that... I know growing up, everybody's like, end of times, end of the world, end of times. I'm not saying that right now.
Yeah, I'm not going down the Glenn Beck road.
But, man, can somebody turn the heat down a little bit?
Why is there so much of an active role? Like, there's people named Barack Obama... that are making sure that the stage is set for the most. It would be like back in the 30s, people instituting policy that would enable Hitler to annex Poland, and I mean he did it on his own. But imagine if prior to that, there was policies being instituted by the most powerful countries in the world to encourage that.
Right. Well, a couple of quotes from majority. Well, one quote from Majority Leader Tom DeLay. In defending America against radical Islamic terrorism, Barack Obama cannot be trusted.
Yeah, I mean, I can't trust him to be the president of the United States. I can't even trust him to be on American soil.
I can't trust him to watch my kids.
No, I wouldn't. I would never. I would never let him watch my kids.
If you would never let the president of the United States watch your kids, how could he be president?
He's watching a lot of things that are really important.
Right. So Senator Jim Inhofe said, never in my political career, in my memory, did it ever occur to me that we would have a president of the United States who would be doing things to support the enemy.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually what he's doing.
Our system isn't set up for Congress to deal with this kind of situation.
And that's a big problem.
That's the failure. That's the failure.
They're all looking at each other like, is this really happening?
Is this for... Was that for real?
Yes, it was. Yeah, lots of beeping.
Oh. So when Inhofe approached Obama, he said, hey, what do you think you're doing? Obama said...
all y'all.
That pretty much sums it up right there. My gosh. Oh.
Oh, man. Whew. You want to hear some funny sound bites?
Yeah, let's hear some funny ones.
Let's get into a laughter type mood. Obama joined Jon Stewart.
Oh, that's right. He's finally going off the air. Wow, huge.
The reports were long night goodbye. Like he won't. Like Jon Stewart is just not.
He announced like
going
2
away.
years ahead of time. Yeah, I'm retiring. And here we are. I didn't even realize he was still in the air.
I didn't think he was still on.
And then he does this thing with Obama, and I'm like, wait a minute, I thought Jon Stewart was off the air.
Well, he had to do this for relevance.
Okay.
So here's Obama giving advice to the next president.
What? You mean we're gonna have another treasonous
He's
foreigner?
giving
We have another foreigner that's an anti-American foreign communist as president?
Yeah, he's not leaving the White House.
Oh, that's right. He's the next.
He's giving himself
advice
okay,
right.
with Johnny Stewart.
If people are engaged, eventually the political system responds, despite the money, despite the lobbyists.
Right.
It still responds.
So for you, and if this may be a closing segment, because obviously you have things to do, I'm here all night. I guess what you would say is after 7 years, is that the advice that you then bequeath to future President Trump?
I'm sure the Republicans are enjoying Mr. Trump's current dominance of
anything that makes
their
them
primary.
anything that makes them look less crazy.
Wah, wah, wah.
They all clapped and cheered when he said Trump is the next president. They didn't say, ugh. They were excited about it. They were excited. Interesting.
Obama did not. He wasn't ready for that. He didn't know how to take that.
Well, Jon Stewart is definitely going to throw something out there for laughter. He's very good at that.
Right.
And so...
speaking of Johnny Stewart, there was a article that just came out. One of his writers, his name's Wyatt Cenac. He was a writer for him back in like 2011, 2012, for a couple of years. And they were doing a skit, and he was out of town, and they emailed him the skit that they were going to do. And it was like, I don't know, it was like blackface or something.
Okay.
It was really
controversial, obviously.
It was really shady.
Okay.
And when he came back into town, and apparently this writer, Cenac, is black.
Okay.
And he's at the desk at the table with all the other writers and Jon Stewart. And he spoke up. He's the only black person in the whole room.
Okay.
And he spoke up and he said, hey, when I read that, I mean, my first initial reaction when I read that, dude, I was uncomfortable.
So wait, some other writer wrote a skit with blackface.
Jon Stewart wrote it.
Oh, Jon Stewart wrote it.
Right.
And then the black guy, the only black guy, stood up and said, I'm not really 100% comfortable with that. Okay.
F off! F off! Oh, get out of here! F off! Just blowing up.
He threw out the only black guy in the room.
He said he started screaming and yelling, and he didn't know if he was fired or not.
Okay.
And Jon Stewart stormed out the room.
Oh, Jon Stewart
stormed out the room. Yeah, he didn't know if he even had a job still or not.
So John wrote a blackface.
Well, it wasn't blackface, but it was a little racial.
It was okay. It was a little racy,
and it was too much, and it wasn't funny.
Okay.
And the guy said, "Hey, this ain't funny." And apparently, Jon Stewart has a really bad temper.
I'm shocked to hear that because he seems like he always seems concerned, and no matter what opposition comes his way, he always seems to just keep as cool as best he can. But you're saying behind closed doors, it's just total.
Oh, he was. Oh, that's what it was. They were doing a skit on John McCain or Herman Cain. This is back in the day. Yeah, they were doing a skit on Herman Cain, and apparently it was okay to make fun of a black Republican with black skin and making the joke about him being black because he's a Republican. It's okay. Well, this black writer said, "No, dog, that's not even funny, man."
Well, you know what it is. If that's exactly how it went down, it's because Democrats, they believe in race traitors. They believe in loyalty to race because race is everything to them.
Right. Well, Cenac said he was out on the field on assignment when he first saw the bit, before he went into the office, and I got his quote here. He said, quote, "I don't think this was from a malice place, but I think it was from a naive, ignorant place." And I remember thinking, oh no, you just did this and you didn't think about it? He's like, it was just a voice in my head that kept bugging me. I had to say something.
Wow. Well, the thing is somebody like Jon Stewart's going to say, whoa, 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 whoa. We're allowed to make fun of this guy for having black skin because he's a traitor to his race.
Right.
And you're saying that the black writer was like, whoa, you shouldn't do that. Which is surprising because most progressives, whether they're white or black, would agree with that sentiment.
Right. So Jon Stewart initially said, so what are you talking about? What are you trying to say? And then he stood up and he was just like, F off! I'm done with you! F off! I'm done! I'm done! And he kept screaming at me and he kept screaming a few more times, F off! I'm done with you, and he stormed out. I didn't even know if I had a job or not the next day.
He like showed up and looked around like, is it going to be like that? It's like that scene from Wall Street when Charlie Sheen walks into the office on his last day before getting arrested.
Right.
The day that he got arrested, everybody in the office knew that the cops were there for him. He had no idea. He had a big smile on his face. He's walking around. And everybody was looking at him with sad face. Everybody had sad face because they knew that he was getting hauled off in handcuffs. They all knew the cops were there to arrest him. And he was like, hey, how's it going? And everybody just was like, look, everybody was staring at him. Like as the camera went through the office, it was first-person perspective. You know, they were all looking at the camera.
Right.
Like it was Charlie Sheen. And yeah, so you're saying the writer walked in the next day wondering if he had a job, like everybody's looking at him funny or something.
Right. So I forgot. This was really important. I forgot this. The Ayatollah Khomeini, he tweeted out a picture and said that Obama commits suicide.
Diplomatic suicide, yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
That picture of the gun to his head and the American flag.
Wow, who made that?
The Ayatollah Khomeini.
He made that?
Tweeted that out, yeah.
Well, somebody else made it.
I mean, somebody made it for him, but he tweeted it out on his own business Twitter
Why can't
account.
I read the top of it? Can you click on it and make it bigger?
Oh, no. I'm worried about lockups.
Oh. So what does the font say? It's cut off the top. So it's a dark picture of a silhouette of Obama. You can't see his face because it's a silhouette.
The
Like
aggressive and criminal U.S. Ayatollah Khomeini.
Uh-oh, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, that's a real bad sign.
Did you lock it up?
Nope.
We good?
Test. Well, we can just keep going with it. We do have new equipment, and it's sitting right behind me, not quite plugged in yet.
Where'd that come from?
It's new equipment.
How do you know we can go on?
Oh, my goodness. I don't know.
I mean...
Oh, I think I got something right there.
I mean, how do you know if we're good or not?
Well, we can test.
Testing.
So isn't that good, though, that we have new equipment that we're currently not utilizing?
I just don't understand why Microsoft products are so bad.
Why they're so inferior to everything else.
I mean, if we lived in a communist state, I mean a complete 100% communist country, like the USSR was back in the day.
Right.
Remember how poor their car was. Remember the car that they had to drive around, the state-controlled car?
Oh, like a Yugo or something.
Well, it was like a Yugo, except it was worse. It was like the worst vehicle ever made, and everybody knew it.
And who drove this around?
It was made by the state of the USSR.
Oh, right. Okay.
Is it working?
Yeah, we're still on the air.
It's amazing. So, as you're listening to us right now, our computer that runs the whole show is locked up because I asked. This is literally how it happened. Brian had two windows open. The one window is Spreaker with the dashboard. The other window was Facebook. when he showed the picture that the Ayatollah put up, I couldn't see all of the words on the picture. So I said, can you click on the picture so that it will open up and then we can see what the words on the picture are? Because all I could see was a silhouette of Barack Obama with a gun to his head, like he's going to commit suicide. And he said, well, I could, but it could probably crash. Sure enough.
It heard me. It heard.
It heard you what?
It heard me, and that's why it crashed.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't have crashed unless you prompted it with your words. So sure enough, Brian, because Brian's not very cautious.
I like to live on the edge.
He throws caution to the wind. And so he decided to roll the dice and go ahead and click on that thing. And sure enough, it went. Yeah, and so he tried to close it down.
You know what really grinds my gears?
I don't know. Apparently,
Windows.
Apparently, it grinds its own gears. Wow. So all he did, he had Facebook up. He clicks on one picture. A picture. It's not even a video. It's not like we're watching 20 megapixel freaking movies or something. The whole thing locks up. Right now, we're looking at a locked up screen, but we can verify that we're still working because
I can hear myself.
Well, Brian brought it up on the phone, on the app on the phone, and
yeah, we're on real time.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. One of the windows is Elizabeth Warren. That may have locked up the computer just because.
Well, because she locks up anything.
Right.
Anything that she's involved with gets locked up.
Man. So
wow. It's amazing. And this happens all the time. Didn't last week we had to split our show into
We
two
did
parts?
split a show in two parts last week, yeah. But I've got brand new equipment that arrived. I was afraid to test it. I was afraid to because I was worried that the lock up, but now I've got a lock.
It can't be worse.
It could have been worse.
It couldn't be any worse.
I actually had it. I had it running. It was pretty smooth. But
this stuff?
The new setup. Yeah.
Is it Windows? Did you hear Windows 10 is coming out?
Yeah. Somebody said that they skipped 9 because they wanted to distance themselves as far away from 8 as possible.
Oh wow! I could see
and
that.
Go into the double digits. Just completely.
You know what? Let's just move on.
Right.
Go straight to 10.
Go straight 10.
You know, when Apple went to their 10, it was called X, the Roman numeral.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So, just FYI. So,
all right, fair enough. There was a top 20 cities in America, or top 20 cities in America where Americans are leaving.
Oh, well, Detroit, I would say, would be up there, but there's nobody left there to leave.
Right. Well, these are out of 100 of the most populated cities in America, 20 of them are negative, meaning they're losing more people than are coming in.
Okay.
By a percentage.
It has an overall net loss.
Negative loss.
Gotcha.
Last place is Albuquerque.
When you say last place, does that mean first place in the worst cities?
It's last place of the worst.
It's the best of the worst or the worst of the worst?
It's the best.
It's the best.
Of the worst.
So number 1 on the countdown is going to be the worst.
Of the worst.
Okay, so the best of the worst is Albuquerque. Okay.
Right. Cleveland.
Wow.
Washington, D.C. I thought they'd be higher than that, but they need new politicians, and they're shipping more people in.
Okay.
I can't think of anything. Dayton, Ohio.
Ooh, surprised to hear that.
Have you been to Dayton lately?
Well, I mean, I think Dayton's doing better. Well, maybe in the past 10 years, I thought Dayton was doing better than Cincinnati.
Milwaukee.
Don't know much about that, but I'll take
Milwaukee.
their word for it. All right, I'll take their word for it.
No, Milwaukee's a real fallout zone. They've got a lot of problems up in Milwaukee. Real liberal Democrat, just owned. Right behind Milwaukee is Detroit. I thought they'd be higher on the list.
You would think, but mathematically, it makes sense to me that they would not be at the top because you have to have a high number of people leaving.
If they'd have done this a few years ago.
Like 10 years ago.
Detroit led for like 10 years straight.
They were the point man.
Yes. Los Angeles.
Interesting.
I didn't know this for a fact because I know of a lot of people who talked about leaving, a lot of people who did leave. I know businesses that talked about leaving and did leave.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of advertisements on TV and the radio for businesses to come to tax-free Nevada.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Also being courted by Jeff Daniels. Jeff Bridges. Who's the one that did Dumb and Dumber?
Daniels.
Jeff Daniels would do PSA commercials or spot commercials for the state of Michigan.
Really?
For people in Los Angeles to move their business to Michigan.
Okay. I believe that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then New York just came out with something new, said you'll be tax-free for 5 years if you move a new business to New York.
Yeah, because I heard that they were having a big fallout, too, because of their communist policies. Is it de Blasio?
Yeah, de Blasio.
He's a communist.
Oh, yeah.
He's a proud communist.
Oh, very proud. Next on the list, Jackson, Mississippi. Don't know anything about that.
Don't know why, yeah.
Rochester, New York.
Is that near New York City?
Yeah, it's New York. I mean,
Or is it upstate?
I think it's more upstate, but you're going to see a little bit more of New York. Toledo, Ohio. There's 2 cities now. Or actually,
Toledo is like the brother or sister city
Cleveland.
of Detroit.
Oh, Detroit.
They're really, really close.
So you've got Cleveland.
Toledo and Detroit are very close together.
Cleveland, Dayton, and Toledo.
Interesting.
In the state of Ohio.
Wow. Right.
I
don't know if that's a problem or not for the whole state, but that doesn't sound good. But yeah.
No, not at all. And they're really high up. They take 3, 4, 5, 6. They take 7th place out of 20. Or it's actually 7th out of 100.
Because yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're 7 out of 100. I'm just doing the top 20.
Mm-hmm.
So they're number 7 out of 100. That's no good. Memphis, Tennessee.
Memphis. Oh, that's where I was stationed for. I'll tell you what, Memphis. I didn't know. See, I was young back in the day in Cincinnati. If you went downtown, I mean, way back in the day, like 70s. If you went downtown, you got bombarded by panhandlers, and then eventually they came out with laws when we were kids to make it illegal, and the panhandling stopped in Cincinnati. So I grew up in a city where it was illegal, and so I took it for granted that there were no panhandlers. I just figured, I get to Memphis, wow, you get assaulted by people coming up to you and asking you for a quarter or for $1 or for money for food.
Really?
Yeah, because that was my first taste of a city, an inner city area that does not have the panhandling outlawed. So yeah, that was back in the 90s that I was in Memphis.
Holy smoke!
Yeah.
Okay, so Springfield, Connecticut.
Don't know much about that.
Syracuse, New York. Hartford. They put this in 3: Hartford, Hartford West, and Hartford East. So stay away from Hartford.
Okay.
Yeah, don't want anything to do with that.
Are those 3 different numbers?
They shared the same number. Like I looked for the number 1 through 20, and number 4, 5, and 6 were missing, and it was number 4, so 5 and 6 were missing. So these 3 took the same spot, so to keep it within 20. It's kind of a messed up situation. But yeah, they don't share the same spot, but they're listed as 3 different sections on the list.
Okay.
Urban Honolulu.
Honolulu, the inside, the urban area.
The urban area of Honolulu, Hawaii.
Okay, because when you said urban, oh no, we have to talk about that. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
The urban area of Honolulu, which is weird because what purpose would that be dropping?
I don't know.
It seems kind of weird.
Well, the politicians there are really liberal. I mean, they're real hardcore libs out there in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And the top 3, New York, New Jersey City, and El Paso, Texas, number 1.
Well, New York City, let me tell you something about New York City. When I was a kid, maybe in high school, New York City was considered the largest city in the world, and the number I heard that lived there was 12 million. Today, I think it's closer to like 8 to 8.5 million. So they lost more than 3 million people from that city. To give you an idea of those kind of numbers, I think the inner city, or I should say the within the city limits of Cincinnati, we have about 250,000 residents. If you include all of the suburbs around Cincinnati, we have about 1 million. So New York City lost equivalent to 3 entire Cincinnati and surrounding area number of people.
Wow.
Yeah. It went from 12 million to 8.5 million in about, I don't know, 20 years.
You know, it's funny you say that. There's a kid that works at the bank, and he's from New York.
Yeah, they're all
I've never met anybody from New York.
Yeah.
In Cincinnati.
I think that Giuliani was responsible for making it a great place, and it got up to about 12 million. And then when he got out of there, it went down, down, down. It might have been over the course of only 10, 15 years, it dropped down to 8.5 million. So, yeah, it's like imagine taking 3 whole entire Cincinnati area cities size and just moving them out.
I can't even imagine what that would look like. I mean, you talk about Detroit being devastated. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they did interview de Blasio on this and asked him what his thoughts were and why, you know, so much of New York is just devastated. And here's what he had to say.
Oh, y'all.
So we're back on, folks.
Oh, we got it? Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we've been on. You don't know, but we were locked up. Well, you knew because we told you.
I pulled a miracle out.
Would you let it run out?
I let it run itself out. I let it run its course.
Yeah, you got to let it run its course. Could take. So that was like 15 minutes.
Because usually what I do is I start hitting buttons. I mean, that's what everybody does.
Adding to the task.
Right. So I get so angry, I start adding to its task of hitting buttons. And that's when it goes nuclear. It goes Iran.
Well, at that point, you have to pull the plug from the wall and let it cool down for a while.
Whew.
You have to reformat the hard drive.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yes, you do.
So, yeah, that's the story with New York, but they aren't even number one, which makes sense because just like Detroit, they've lost the maximum amount of people years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, F. Chuck Todd was interviewing Trump, and he kind of slipped in a little bit with Trump.
Uh-oh.
Brought up Hillary. And,
was this on Meet the Depressed?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me do this one. This one is where he's on CNN and he makes a statement about Hillary. This is the one you want. He makes a statement about Hillary and the CNN correspondent can't take it. Needs more clarification. What do you mean, Trump?
It turned out I'm much richer. You know, this costs me a lot of money, but I want to see our country be great again.
Right.
And we have a chance to do it.
So let me ask you, this is, without question, a great poll for you. It does, however, if you dive deeper into the numbers, it does show some weaknesses, potentially, with the general electorate as opposed to with Republicans, and you lose to Hillary Clinton in a head-to-head matchup. What do you think you need to do to turn those numbers around?
It's just step by step. Honestly, it's step by step. I haven't focused on Hillary. In fact, yesterday in Iowa, I made some very strong statements about Hillary, really I wouldn't say the first time, but they were strong. And the fact is that what she has done is criminal. I mean, what she has done is criminal. I don't see how she can run. Because if the prosecutors, who are all Democrat, by the way, and that's, part of the problem with fairness here, they're all Democrats, so they're protecting her. But if you had an impartial prosecutor and they were honorable, and maybe they are, we're going to find out. But what she's done is criminal.
What exactly are you saying is criminal?
What she did is far worse than what General Petraeus did, and he's gone down in disgrace. I mean, what he did is not as bad as what Hillary Clinton did. And it's similar, but it's not as bad. I mean, she got rid of her server. He never did anything like that.
But Mr. Trump,
she did it after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress.
What are you saying that she did is criminal?
We'll see what happens, but I think Hillary... You have to understand with me, it's step by step. When you and I spoke 3-4 months ago, I wasn't even going to be in the contest, according to various people. And now I'm leading easily in a lot of the races because people are sick and tired. So with Hillary, I think I'll beat Hillary easily. I think I will beat Hillary. I don't think these other guys will.
So let me just to clarify, what exactly are you charging that Hillary Clinton did is criminal? You're talking about this email news?
I'm talking about the whole email scandal. It's a scandal. I mean, she's been protected. It's been amazing to me how she's been protected. Even in the fact that the Times changed it, I respect the Times for going after her like that, but even the fact that they changed the story upon their request, I think they were more right the first time. But it was the first time or the second time. What Hillary did is criminal. And
I don't think it was a criminal.
Whether or not that takes her out of the race, but
projecting his opinion.
Now, whether she is or whether it's a guy like Sanders, which is hard to believe, but whether she is in the race or not, I go step by step. I'm not thinking too much about Hillary right now. I'm thinking about a man who's in favor of Common Core, a man who's weak on immigration, Jeb Bush, and a guy like Walker, who, frankly, his state is having tremendous difficulty. I love Wisconsin. It's a great place, but
it's no good.
He's putting debt up to the gills. The school system is a disaster because they don't have any money. I mean, Walker State, Wisconsin, is a catastrophe from an economic and a financial standpoint. I think he's number 36 or 38 overall in terms of the country for economic growth, and his jobs projection were way off. I mean, beyond. They have budget deficits. He was going to have a lot of big surplus. Well, we've got a $2.2 billion deficit.
I hear you. Mr. Trump, I just want to...
Walker's in big trouble.
Just as a point of fact, I believe that the referral by the inspectors general was a security referral, not a criminal referral when it came to Hillary Clinton. But let's just leave that where it is. I do want to talk about immigration.
Thanks for verifying what he just said. He just verified it. She's getting protected. His charge is that liberals in the media are protecting her, and he just did it. Yes. He just protected her. Of course, what she did was illegal, and if he wants to get all legalese on Trump about it, but what Trump said makes more sense. If what Petraeus did was so bad, clearly a case can be made that what Clinton did was at least as bad, if not worse.
Yes.
So you don't have to get legalese about it. Let's just look at this thing as a comparative, logical standpoint.
Yes. Yes.
And what is it that you're saying was criminal? Everybody knows what she did was criminal.
Yes.
And you're protecting her. He says that it's amazing how much protection she gets, and then you just did it.
You gave her, you aiding and abetting.
Oh
you aiding and abetting.
He should get thrown in jail for that.
For aiding and abetting.
That's right.
You blocking investigations. You aiding and abetting.
That's right. Send him up the river.
You're doing a cover-up job. You might as well be in the car. Keeping it warm. Right. Keeping it running.
He should definitely be. I mean, he's the guy that lets her stay in the basement while she's on the run.
Right.
That's what it is. Yes. I mean, she goes to prison for that.
This is true.
Yeah.
So the media is losing their mind with this Trump thing because he ain't giving in and he don't give up about what they say. So, but he's making the rounds. Like, they all want him on the show. So he visited Anderson Cooper.
Oh, this sounds like fun. Because Anderson Cooper, I don't have as much. Then again, F. Chuck Todd, I have no respect for because he's a total political.
Well, you're not going to have much respect for Anderson Cooper after this one.
I didn't. Okay. I didn't before, but I don't think Anderson Cooper is that bright. Whereas F. Chuck Todd, I think he's smart, except the fact that he has to defend the indefensible.
Right.
That's the thing. Whereas Anderson Cooper's not going to necessarily defend the indefensible, but he's fair. He's not really bright at all.
Now, you'll see that in this next clip.
Eric Erickson of Red State said, based on your comments about Faith on Saturday, that it's, quote, largely closed the books on evangelical support. Do you
I don't think so, because I just saw polls in Iowa that I'm doing really well. I mean, in terms of Iowa, where it's a very big group of people, I'm doing really well.
The Quinnipiac poll in Iowa among general voters.
I don't know. You keep bringing up negative. You only want to talk about negative. Why don't you bring up the positive polls?
I did.
You start off. Excuse me. You start off with the interview.
No, I started off with the Washington Post poll.
You started off the interview with a poll that I didn't even know existed.
I started off with the Washington Post poll intentionally because I knew you would accuse me of that.
Sure. All I know is every poll I'm leading in, and you give me these two polls where it's different states. Right. They're not even a national.
You'll check the record. I started off with the Washington Post poll where you are way out in front.
I think it's very unfair. You're talking about a poll I never even saw. It's not even a poll.
Okay.
It's on 3 different states, and you're hitting me with this.
Okay.
And I think frankly, I think it's a very fair question.
Okay.
I think it's an extremely. You start off the interview with that. You don't say, I've led in the Fox poll. I'm leading in the ABC Washington Post poll.
You're leading across the board.
Well, you did. I am leading across the board.
Right.
And then you hit me with this poll that I didn't even see before. Where it's not even that kind of a poll. All I know is I have a very big group of support. And I think one of the reasons is that, let me tell you, the people don't trust you and the people don't trust the media.
Right.
And I understand
and politicians.
why. I've always been covered fairly accurately because it was usually a financial press. And, numbers are numbers, okay? And my numbers happen to be great. So I was always sort of treated like fair. With the media, it's, in not all cases, some of the political media is great and really honest. Even if they don't want to be, they're really honest. But I find that 60-70% of the political media is really, really dishonest. And, I tell the story, the American dream. I talk about the American dream in speeches. The American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and better and stronger than ever before. The American dream is dead, but I'm going to make it bigger and better, stronger than ever, right? And I go, boom. And I do it with great bravado, and the audience goes crazy. I come home, and my wife is saying, oh, darling, that was so bad. I said, what was bad? What you said today? I said, what did I say? The American dream is dead. Cut. On one of the major networks.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he comes home and his wife says, oh, it's so bad.
So they're taking him out of context.
Well, of course.
Well, they always do, but you can't take things out of context in order to make it sound like what was said was the opposite of what was really said.
Well, you can if you work for the New York Times.
Right, if you want to just flat out lie.
Yeah, make up stories.
Yeah, you want the story to say what you want it to say.
Right.
You just got to chop it up and take things out of context.
Right.
Which is what he's complaining about right here,
and
rightfully so.
And he blasted Anderson Cooper.
Oh, he shut him up.
Yeah.
He shut him up.
And you gotta listen really closely because right after he blasts Anderson Cooper, Cooper says, "Well, and politicians too."
Because
like he was trying to call Trump out. Oh, well, you're in the same boat I'm in too. Like, did you see? Like he was trying to do a.
I'm not disagreeing with.
I got you.
I'm not disagreeing with Anderson Cooper for the most part, and you could even.
But when
make
you get
case.
slammed, you don't come back like that with just a one. Oh, you too. Your mom is fat too. I'm like, what?
Yeah,
come on.
That is a pretty pathetic comeback.
He just called you out as being a liar. And your profession is about honesty.
Well, about getting information to the people. But
correct information.
Well, information implies facts. That's what it's all
well,
about.
It depends on who you're talking to.
It implies facts. When it's not facts, it's no longer information. It's either misinformation or it's disinformation or fiction.
Or it could be the communist narrative.
Oh, you mean propaganda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's what Trump was dealing with, and he called him out. He basically set the stage by saying, look, I'm not going to let you set the stage here.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you what you are. Once I'm done with that, my stage will be set for me to say what I got to say. And he did. And I'm looking at this article right now on Yahoo saying why Republicans should be afraid to debate Donald Trump. I think everybody should be afraid to debate him.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm
yeah,
down
I mean,
with that.
The article talks about how they should be studying tapes of The Apprentice, and not necessarily that they're going to be fired by Donald Trump or anything like that, but many will be singed. They will feel the flames of his forced fire fury. Do not match him. Here we go. This is a Newt Gingrich advice. He said, do not try to match him in anger and aggressiveness. It's not possible. That's what he said.
Wow.
Trump is the candidate who is poised to disprove Marshall McLuhan's notion that TV is a cool medium. No one favors those who maintain the serene demeanor to radiate control, intelligence, and supple power.
Wow, supple.
It's difficult to radiate serenity to debate the fine points of small government theory when there's a guy over one side of the stage wearing a white ball cap with a slogan, "Make America Great Again," yelling that you're stupid and incompetent. Some of the milder epithets Trump has tossed at the people running our country. Yeah. The Republicans and media are still, despite growing evidence to the contrary, still blandly confident. Blandly confident that Trump is going to implode soon. Not the American people are going to see through his act and want to hear from more serious candidates. On Thursday's Daily Show, Jon Stewart continued his impersonation of Trump, which is executed in the voice of a crime lord thug. I didn't see that.
Of course.
He compared the public's infatuation to Trump's to a summer fling, saying that we should enjoy the Trump spectacle now because, of course, in the fall, we're all going to get serious about the issues. Is Trump not addressing issues directly?
Not only is he addressing every issue, he drove to the border. He went down to the border. Did you hear about what happened when he was down there?
Yes. Well, no, not while he was down there, but I heard that originally the Border Patrol was going to welcome him there, and then this was not reported this way, but this is what happened.
This is how it went down. Right.
What actually happened was from the top, from the feds, from Obama's administration, they sent orders to the Border Patrol to reject him and not meet up with him. And then it was reported as the
patrol agents themselves.
The Border Patrol said, no, we don't want nothing to do with you. Right. No, they were ordered by the federal government to not do anything with them, to make it look like he was embarrassed.
Is that acceptable? Is that okay?
They're allowed to do that. There's nothing. What's wrong with
they're on their job. They're on the job, and their boss told them don't fraternize while on the job. Right. Fair enough.
Okay, that's fair enough. But here's what's bad about it. What I don't like about it is that it's a collusion between the administration and the propaganda arm of the administration, which is the mass media, the mainstream media.
That's criminal. That's criminal. That's borderline criminal.
Where the administration will do a certain action on knowing full well that they're going to get it covered a certain way. I don't think they would have necessarily sent the order to the Border Patrol to not talk to Trump and to reject him if they didn't know that the journalists were going to report it as them being rejected by the Border Patrol, by Trump being rejected by the Border Patrol. So I just don't like the collusion. It's corrupt. It's totally corrupt.
Right.
But Jon Stewart... this may have been one of Jon Stewart's more subtle joke. He'll be gone from The Daily Show by the fall, but I'm guessing Trump will still be among us. And if you think new host Trevor Noah is going to be able to handle Trump any more deftly than, say, Scott Walker will from a debate stage, I've got a few shares in the Trump casino I'd like to sell you. So apparently, yeah.
I don't know how to take this. But I read the article that it's from InfoWars, Alex Jones.
Who is he? If anybody tries to accuse us of wearing a tinfoil hat, he is the leader of the tinfoil hat community.
Apparently, he had video footage.
Yeah.
Down there where Donald Trump was, just before he arrived there, captured astounding footage which shows illegals sneaking across the Rio Grande River before they frantically throw huge bags of drugs onto a vehicle and swim back to Mexico.
So they're just people just delivering drugs.
Right.
Oh, my God.
At the same time, Trump was supposed to be there. It was really close proximity.
Okay.
So it's just so... it must be happening so much that that's not uncommon to be able to go down there and catch some video footage.
Interesting.
That's the only thing I can think of. And
I mean, it makes sense to me because I had an incident this week where, by the way, here in Cincinnati, and I hope it's not countrywide, but we're having a major heroin epidemic in Cincinnati.
I never heard of that in L.A.
Well, it may be in L.A. now, but when you were there, this whole heroin thing is all new. This is all new. When you were in L.A., there was no heroin problem here in Cincinnati.
Okay.
It is going exponential. I just had a former friend die recently.
A guy I work with, his daughter's best friend just OD'd on heroin.
Yeah, it's going rampant.
She also has another friend that was on heroin that shot 2 other friends and then turned himself in.
He shot him probably to try to get money for heroin.
Something,
or
yeah.
So, and the thing is one of the main reasons why it's running rampant is because I guess for some reason
they say it's cheap.
It became cheap, but apparently not cheap enough because but theft is on the rise. But no, just this past week, I was in the bad part of town doing some work. Contracting.
I thought you were going to say doing some bad things.
Doing some
bad part of town.
Doing some work, and it was kind of off of the main street.
Right.
So there's this side street, but it's not a dead end. It's just a side street. And on this side street, there is a dead end street connected to it. And I always use this dead end street to turn around because I have a trailer. And it's really hard. If I can't do a complete U-turn, I got to do like the 3-point thing going back and forth.
19-point turn.
19-point turn, right, with the trailer. So it turns out that this dead-end fork in the road makes for a great place to turn around. And I'm on a side street already. Nobody ever drives down any of these streets, especially the dead-end street, because
it's dead end.
I'm totally in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's in the ghetto, but I'm in the middle of nowhere in the ghetto. So I pull onto this thing, and I start to back out from the dead-end street, and all of a sudden, somebody yells, and I hear a beep. There's a car trying to get onto the dead-end street. And I thought, oh, crap, man, I almost hit that car. So I waved them on, and they went around me. So I started to back up a little bit more, and I had to hit the brakes again. Somebody was coming again, and I thought, oh, my gosh, like Grand Central Station. The third car, I was about to wave that second car on, and I saw a third car with his blinker on trying to get on the dead-end street. So I said, all right already, I get it. I'll just go to the end of the dead-end street and flip a...
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I was like, it must be getting close to rush hour, whatever. So I go down to the dead-end street, the end of it, because there's a cul-de-sac, and I thought this will be a lot easier. And there is a line of cars. It's total Grand Central Station. It reminds me of that scene in Edward Scissorhands. In the suburbs of Edward Scissorhands, everybody leaves and comes home for work at the exact same time. I was like, what is this, Edward Scissorhands? Everybody's coming home from work, right? Turns out, when I get to the end and turn all the way around and start to head back up the street, the cars that I waved on that were ahead of me, they were in front of me. They stopped right next to a black Lexus with black tinted windows, totally blacked out. He rolls his window down. Between his index and thumb, hands out a little package. The other guy hands him a little package, drives right off. And then I pass by and I look in my rearview mirror. All the cars that were behind me that came on the street.
Shut up.
One at a time. They were using the Lexus as a drive-through wedding window. I mean, not wedding window, but a drive-through window. And
what?
And I went and told my buddy who also does he does ghetto cleanouts. He'll clean out apartments and stuff. He said, "Oh yeah, that was a heroin deal." Apparently, they'll set up a time and a place, and it's usually on a really remote dead-end cul-de-sac, and a whole bunch of people who know the time will show up at the right time and go through the drive-thru.
So did you see them handing money?
I think it was a two-way hand. It was they would give them a pinch of whatever in a little tiny, tiny, tiny bag, and then they would hand them a very tightly folded up whatever, money. And it was quick, really quick. It was like hand, drive off. Hand, drive off. The whole thing. I would think that by the time I got to the stop sign at the end of I think that Lexus was done. It was quick. Yeah. And I remember thinking to myself as I was driving home.
If you were a cop, there's no way you could. It would be so very difficult to stop that.
Right. Well, I would think I wouldn't want to be on a dead-end street because if somehow the cops caught him,
just no way
block
out.
off the street, and now you got to. First of all, you're either going to get arrested or you're going to have to run off and leave your car, and it'll be impounded and all that. Yeah. So, but yeah, that happened, and that's what we're dealing with. And when I told my buddy, who identified it as a heroin deal, he said that's really common, it happens all the time. So that's how it's happening. And my gosh, it's getting ridiculous.
Wow. Like I hear a lot of guys at work talk about it. The one guy, he's got his son that was on it. Now he's coming off of it, but he's battling back and forth. He told his dad, he said he did it one single time. After that one time, that was it. That's all he needed.
And I've heard from places that it's like a lifelong addiction, kind of like alcoholism, like you hear Glenn Beck say that
once an alcoholic, always an
alcoholic. Yeah, like he will now forever identify himself as an alcoholic that has to always make sure that he can have the strength to say no when tempted. And,
right.
And if you're listening right now and you've never done heroin before, just think about that. Do you want to be – you will be a slave forever. Even if you get off of it, you are now a part of a virtual slavery of a product for the rest of your life. You'll always have to have the strength to say no in order to keep it from getting its meat hooks in you for the rest of your life.
Well, I mean, if you think like my wife, she takes medication for her thyroid gland. And she has to have that. And that's a lifelong medication she has to have. I found that amazing. Like, I didn't understand it, didn't comprehend. So if we were out in the woods somewhere, you would die if you didn't have it. And that's right. Well, think about that on the opposite end, being addicted and feeling like you have to have
like
this
you're constantly
drug.
Craving it. Like
It's
me
chemical.
personally, I'm hopelessly addicted to pizza. And sometimes I have to say no to myself. But imagine if it was something that could kill you. And I've heard stories. This is another thing. If you're listening and if you ever get an opportunity to try heroin, I heard that any one single dose could kill you
At any time. Right. That's what they said.
Because I thought it was like a progressive thing, like you need to take more and more and more until finally you OD. No, I heard
like alcohol, your liver finally gives out after 40 years.
Yeah, I heard that any one single shot of heroin could kill you. Anyone, even the first one.
He was telling me that that there is if this lady that deals this out, if she has a batch and she finds out somebody died from it, then she'll send out the information to everybody to let them know somebody died from it. That's how good it is.
Oh, my God. Like, hey, this is the stuff.
That's what he said. That's what she'll do.
Wow, that's terrible.
Like, they'll brag about that it killed somebody.
Wow. And you know what? There should be a very, very dark hole to put those people in.
Yeah.
Flat out.
They also deal in something called crocodile. That's the one that eats your skin away.
I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah, you can see the bone.
Ooh, never heard of that. Wow.
It's bad news.
Did we hit all the news?
Yeah, other than that other new video that came out, Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, that Planned Parenthood thing. I mean, can we all agree that we talked about it last week?
Yeah, they're calling for an investigation into Planned Parenthood.
Okay.
Nancy Pelosi is now calling for an investigation of the investigators to investigate the people that exposed Planned Parenthood.
Oh, Obama was saying he's really disturbed about the people who
exposed Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they're all just a bunch of baby killers.
Okay, we'll do this one last clip on Obama.
Yeah, if you have time.
Yeah.
As long as we've got to fight to make sure women have access to quality, affordable health care, and as long as we've got to fight to protect a woman's right to make her own choices about her own health, I want you to know that you've also got a president who's going to be right there with you, fighting every step of the way. Thank you, Planned Parenthood. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
God bless Planned Parenthood. And oh, yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. God
Did you
bless
get that
America.
stumble?
Yeah,
Did you hear that stumble?
He said, God bless Planned Parenthood and God bless America. Well, I mean, they're a bunch of baby killers. This latest expose is just the new, I believe, is going to be the Uncle Tom's Cabin that will eventually lead to the end of the American Holocaust. That is the abortion.
More babies have been aborted in New York than are being born currently.
Black
babies. Wow. I can't believe we finally made it through that show of the ups and downs, the ins and outs.
We made it.
So we're here every week for you folks. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. You can find us all over YouTube, iHeartRadio, and iTunes.
We'll continue to be all over the place for you.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.